Well, all right, sports fans.
She's oily, doily, and old. Looks like the Quaker Oats guy. Smells from the body roll mold. Barbara Bush had body bells and eyes full of her ice popped out. It happened when she realized she raised more criminal clowns. Barbara Bush has Marty Feldman eyes. And she's nasty, old and crafty, and she raised more plays than nasty. She's atrocious and takes umbrage to anyone who says they want no voice. Walks like she's carrying a bowling ball between her thighs and has Marty Feldman eyes. She doesn't need to talk, as if she's always surprised. She's wiggle when she talks. Barbara Bush has Marty Feldman eyes. She gave us George Bush and Jeb Bush, not to mention Bill and Robin Bush. Filthy rich and fat, and smells just like the magic sauce on a Big Mac. Barbara Bush resembles Ernest Borgnine on a bad day with Marty Feldman eyes.
So what happened, Carl? Karl Rove, I guess, just couldn't pull off another miracle. Isn't that what it was all about?
That's right.
So anyway, it looks like Makakowicz went down. Of course, they're probably going to have a recount there in Virginia. They'll try to, make up a bunch of dead people and dig some people up and stuff like that. But narrowly lost to Webb, it looks like. What a wicked web we weave when we practice to believe. At any rate, and of course, in Florida, you got a new gay governor. I will say this, the people in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach voted very heavily for Davis. They voted against Chris, but Chris wins, of course. And John Hall, leader of the rock group Orleans that recorded such hits as Still the One and Dance With Me, has won a stunning upset in his race for Congress in upstate New York, narrowly defeating Republican incumbent Sue Kelly 51 to 49%. Still the One. I like that song.
I'm trying to get it going here, but,
But what? Oh, I got it. I got it somewhere. In fact, give me about 20, 30 minutes here. I'll find it. Hall's views on the differences between political and music journalists were recently profiled on Editor and Publisher Online. At one point, he had a struggle to be taken seriously by the press as a policy man. That's just another, singer. The upset was more surprising as this contest was never on the National Democratic Party's list of most likely pickups. Clay Shaw. Bye-bye, Clay. There's another one. Never even crossed my mind that we could get rid of his ugly ass. Hall closed his victory speech by singing Stephen Van Zant's song, I Am a Patriot. Numerous musicians played benefits for Hall throughout the campaign, though he was still badly outspent by his opponent. Hall, who ran as an anti-war candidate, is also an environmental activist. He was a key organizer of the fabled No Noose concert movie in 1979. How do you like that? Good old John Hall. He's still the one, and you haven't got it yet? Jesus. Man.
There it is. It was doing a big update.
No.
My music library. I added some files.
I see. Well,
yeah, it's not worth it, was it?
Sure it was. And he chops it off just before the vocals. Bastard. Well, there's John Tester. There's in Montana, no
go, boy.
Like that.
Now pop it on so you can hear him talk, because you always impersonate people talking through their nose. People in Montana don't talk through their nose.
He's not talking. They got the CNN guy in there.
All right.
By the way, MSNBC did a grotesque job in election coverage last night. Not that CNN is any great chase, but boy, I'll tell you, they got off to a real rocky start. And you'd think that Chris Matthews, whose expertise is politics, but they just technically they couldn't get the in the beginning, no graphics. So I guess they thought at 7 o'clock it was going to be all over. Like here's we don't have any votes from Virginia, and well, whatever. It was pretty weak. Although it was good to see Keith on there, but nevertheless. Here's the poll from yesterday. How confident are you that all the votes will be counted honestly? Of course, there were lots of examples of hanky-panky going on all throughout the day, but even Karl Rove and the fixed machines man, they couldn't do it. So it looks like the Democrats, if they hang on to Virginia and Montana, They'll have a 51-49 lead in the Senate, and of course they got a 32 vote. They picked up 32 seats in the House, which means they got a margin of about 30 or some odd. How confident are you all the votes would be counted honestly? Not very confident, 552. Not at all, 547. Skeptics, and rightfully so. Somewhat confident, 288. Very confident, 99. I don't give a Schmidt, 58. 100% sure, 32. Right, there's the... that must be the Bush crowd, right?
Right.
And I hate this poll, only 14, a 0.8. Wow, when's the last time we saw a number with a in front of it like that? A fraction. Your buddy Joe Bell was in here this morning, our general mangler. Said, you didn't stop by to see us. You were down here? And I said, yeah. Oh, you have to stop by and see all of us. We'd like to see you. And I said, don't hold your breath. I said, hold your breath. I'll let you know when to exhale. So what was it that the Beast told you, that Kenny's got no control over that morning show?
Yes, that's what he told me.
918 votes. So I just want the audience to know that, because we hope Kenny and Bo do very well, but nevertheless.
Right. But it wasn't the Beast that told me.
Who was it?
The rumor fairy.
Oh, Grieper?
You can make up names all day. it was Greg. How's that?
Oh, Greg Reed told you that.
That's right.
I see. He's your buddy.
Yeah.
Which of these do you care about most? That's our poll today. We have 921 votes. Boy, we'll get to 1,000 and 2 shakes of a land sale. You know, I don't know. I guess I should feel pretty happy after the election results came in and the whole deal and all the stuff that's been going on, but I don't know. I don't feel any different. Do you?
No.
No. Although George finally got around to watching Tristan and Isolde last night and didn't like it.
No, I didn't finish it. So, didn't make it to the end.
Well, why not?
Finish it tonight. Because
you'd have to admit, looks like James Franco-American there had a couple of extra sandwiches between that and Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, he spent a lot of time with his shirt off, that's for sure.
He did?
Well, when he was wounded there, you know.
I better watch it again.
From the dead.
I better watch it again. 922 votes. Which of these do you care about the most? Don't start with that faggery again, okay? But if just one, if the St. Pete Times or the Miami Herald or any of the newspapers in the state of Florida, any of these so-called MSM mainstream media, would have picked up on the stories from the New Times and all the other stuff about Charlie Crist, which is well known to anybody who's ever gotten out of the house more than once, but they didn't do it. And so the people in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, along with the Democratic swell and the anti-Bush sentiment, they voted for Davis, but Crist wins, and so big deal. Although at least we're getting rid of fat-ass Jeb. That's the good thing. Bye-bye, Jeb, you fat-ass piece of turd. Good family man. 922 votes. They care most about their income, 495. Sex life, a distant second, 212. Are you surprised at that or what?
No.
I hate this poll, 70, 7.5%. Well, your mama. Politics, 43. Politics. The National Football League, 36. Now we're talking, baby, on QAM. They care most about the National Football League, more than their income, their sex life, politics. My faith, 34. My faith, as in...
Oh, God!
Iraq, 23, and my health. We added that late edition. That's my bad. I should have had it on there yesterday. Only 9 so far, but it's zooming up there. It's a good start. We just put it on there, right?
Yes.
13 already. See, my health's going to go zooming up close, because if you don't have your health, you haven't got much. Isn't that right, George?
Huh? No, I got that.
You got what?
My health. That's all I got.
Oh. Well, you got that gray hair. That's not a good sign. Prematurely gray. Exit poll results indicate that 58% of voters yesterday disapprove of the way Bush is handling his job. That's the people who voted. See, they kept wondering why there was this massive turnout, because the people are pissed off. They're angry. They're disgusted. They're tired of this. Like they're stuck in a dead end. Anyway, 42% approved of the voters. That's down from a 53% approval in 2004 and 67% just before those 2002 midterm elections. 43% strongly disapprove of the president's work, more than double the number of strong approvers. Of course, it's hard work. Intensity of sentiment for and against, by contrast, was about equal in 2004. 33% strongly approved of the president's performance and 35% strongly disapproved. And it goes on. The war in Iraq is a serious concern. Well, it damn well should be, for Christ's sakes. In the exit poll results, 57% of voters disapprove of the war, while 41% approve. How can anybody approve? That's what I'd like to know. 41% approve? How can anybody approve? By the way, bye-bye, Clay Shaw. And you notice they thought they were going to be really clever there with that Joe Negron in the Mark Foley seat. Punch Foley, vote for Joe. You know that. It was close, but he still lost. Approval of the war was higher, 51% in the 2004 election, and 41% now strongly disapprove of the war, up from 32% 2 years ago. Number one issue was corruption. Corruption was the number one issue, not the war in Iraq, not the fact that Drew Lieberman is a jackass, which he, of course, won again, with overwhelming support from Republicans in Connecticut, who didn't, they abandoned their guy, the poker-playing guy, and they voted for Drew Lieberman. 227, let's see, they move it too fast, to 195 in the House Democrats, and there's 13 still undecided. Democrats took control of the House of Representatives for the first time in a dozen years, but the crucial question of which party will run the Senate hangs this morning on those neck-to-neck contests in Montana and Virginia. Democratic challengers have picked up 4 seats in the Senate, according to CNN projections. Republicans will need to take just one of the 2 remaining competitive races to keep control, but I don't think they will. Democrats won in Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Missouri, and Ohio, as well as independent candidates Bernie Sanders and Drew Lieberman, who are expected to vote with the Democrats, so they count that in the total, you know? They count that. But in Montana, the race between Republican Senator Conrad It Burns and State Senator John Tester was too close to call. Tester's got about 1,800 vote lead. If Tester wins, Democrats could secure control by winning in Virginia, where embattled Republican Senator George Makakowicz Allen trailed his Democratic challenger Jim Webb by fewer than 6,000 votes out of more than 2.3 million counted. How do you like that?
2 days I had my repair check. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I got the check. Got my car fixed. It's for birthday.
Under Virginia law, the apparent loser can request a recount after the votes have been certified if the margin is less than 1% of the total votes cast. If that happens, the result in Virginia may not be clear for weeks. Webb declared victory early today, saying the votes are in and we won. But Allen wasn't backing down. The election continues, he said. He said, too many of them N people voted against me. That's probably what he was thinking. Too many of those macacas. At any rate, so if the Democrats hang on to Virginia and Montana, that would be quite a feather in their crab, wouldn't it? And then we'll see what they got, okay? Then we'll see what they got.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I'm holding my breath.
We finally put the brakes on the Bush machine on the big runaway freight train to disaster. But now let's see what the other guys have got, what they bring to the table, as they say. What do you bring to the table? As Joey Reynolds used to say, what do you bring to the table? And his answer, of course, was Bill Marshall, who had to open up the mic pot for him and, hold his hand, and like kind of a doddering old fool that he was. He always was very fond of you, though, I guess.
Yeah.
952 votes. I guess it was the same then as it is now, because you're, involved with this show.
That's
hated
it.
and reviled, just like poison.
Got the taint on
So,
it.
Josh, don't get too involved with this show, because if you're running around the hallway and people are, he's on the Neil Rogers show, they might be spitting blood in your direction. You know what I'm saying?
I thought they already do that.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do.
The biggest
Like
names,
Joe Bell
the
said.
best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
There's a butt. I smell it.
The following is a paid public service announcement from the International Rifle Association.
Let's face it, most of us will never be rich. Hell, we probably won't even be successful, and that's pretty damn depressing. But, as usual, with every problem, there is a solution. Hi, I'm Jim, and I'm here to tell you a little something about handguns. They scare the shit out of people and intimidate them into giving you whatever you want. That's right, handguns. Think about it. Need some cash? Rob a bank. Don't have enough money for beer? Pull up a convenience store. Take some chips and pretzels while you're at it. It's all free if you've got a handgun. Some son of a bitch cheating on your girlfriend? Kill him. It's a simple solution to life's complex problems. All you have to do is wait the 5 days for it, and happiness is just around the corner. Hell, if you don't want to wait the 5 days, who cares? Buy the damn thing off the street. Just buy a lot of handguns. It's a great alternative to working problems out and can be considered a population controller. Yes, handguns. They just might make you famous.
10:19 at 560. It's the American F&W, baby, and especially in Florida. That's why, Kenny and Bo this morning were lamenting this. Lamenting is not the right word. They were questioning the whys and the wherefores, and why does all this violence go on, and yada, yada, Aren't you pleased that we have a sociologically oriented morning show now?
Well, if I knew that's what it was going to be, then I'd make a point to tune in. Oh.
Anyway, Doug Thompson on Capitol Hill Blue, before we get to all of this, numbers and all this other crap. Doug Thompson says, and the horse they rode in on. American voters sent President George W. Bush and his gang of thugs called the Republican Party a strong message Tuesday. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't polite, and it wasn't subject to interpretation. It said, go to hell, go directly to hell, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Democrats needed a net gain of 15 seats to regain control of the House. The final count is still uncertain, but Democrats picked up at least 33 seats, more than double what they needed, and that gives incoming Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, the vote she needs to give W and his goons the screwing they so richly deserve. Well, he's got a couple of expressions in this story that I can't even come close to reading. Granted, the Senate is in play, but Democrats hold on to slim leads in both Virginia and Montana, and wins there give them control of that chamber as well, leaving Bush and the boys wondering if anyone got the number of the truck that mowed them down. Bush and the Republicans deserve to get run down. They stepped willingly out in front of that onrushing semi called vote anger over the Bucks war in Iraq and the cesspool of corruption that ruled their party. Cesspool. Exit polls showed a vast majority of voters really pissed off over Bush's Iraq debacle, the corruption and broken promises of the Republican Party, and the deterioration of individual and civil rights. 2 years ago, those who viewed terrorism as a major issue gave Republicans 90% of their votes. This time they split evenly between Republicans and Democrats. 2 years ago, evangelicals gave the GOP 95%. Yesterday, 33% of the religious right voted Democrat.
Oh, my God.
How do you like that?
I like it.
If you had an R after your name, you became an endangered species. Even Lincoln Chafee, a Rhode Island liberal Republican, and Jim Leach, an Iowa moderate, were left flattened on the road of political ruin. Now, what is this facts? I mean, there's a lot of things I could put on this poll, but that's not the idea. Could you please put my children on the poll? Well, of course I could put that on there. My family, my children, my spouse, my
ass.
Yeah, your mama. See, when it's a poll like that, when I say which of these do you care about the most, I'm being selective, obviously, for a reason, Anyway, Doug Thompson says if you had an R after your name, you became an endangered species. Even Lincoln Chafee, a Rhode Island liberal Republican, and Jim Leach, an Iowa moderate, were left flattened on the road of political ruin. Left flattened on the road. In Tennessee, Republicans won only because they showed no shame in openly appealing to the latent racism that resides in their base, taking down Harold Ford by stereotyping him as some sex-crazed black man chasing white women. In Virginia, the racism of the Old South came home to keep George Allen in the race, where he trailed Democratic challenger Jim Webb by a razor-thin margin in a race headed for an almost sure recount. Same for Montana, where you can still find enough ignorant rednecks to vote for a corrupt racist like Conrad Burns to keep the race close and undecided when the sun came up this morning. But in most of the country, where people voted with their heads instead of their prejudices, the Republicans could not sway the outcome with money, attack ads, and sleazy campaign tactics. Voters took the first step back to take back control of their country. As we head into the daylight of Wednesday, the only two questions remaining are the fate of two out-of-step incumbent Republican racists named Burns and Allen. I remember Burns and Allen, don't you?
Yes, I do. Nice comedy.
Both of these dinosaurs often campaign as phony cowboys decked out in their hats and boots and astride horses. How appropriate, because the message delivered by voters on Tuesday is a type that so often ends with, and the horse you rode in on. How do you like that?
Yeah.
Pot users relying on home delivery. Is this a story that this faxer sent in?
I just sent the first page.
In a city where you can get just about anything delivered to your door, groceries, dry cleaning, Chinese food, this is New York, pot smokers are increasingly ordering takeout marijuana from drug rings that operate with remarkable corporate-style attention to customer satisfaction. Now, do you have to tip the delivery guy?
I think it's only fair and polite.
In other words, call the tip line.
I'll tell you what, if somebody's delivering my weed to the house, they're going to get a big tip.
An untold number of otherwise law-abiding professionals in New York are having their pot delivered to their homes instead of visiting drug dens or hanging out on street corners, God forbid. Among the legions of home delivery customers is Chris, a 37-year-old salesman in Manhattan. Chris. He's got the good stuff.
He doesn't know Chris.
Oh, well, that's the problem.
I did.
Among the legions, he dials a pager number, gets a return call from a cheery dispatcher who takes his order for potent strains of marijuana. Potent strains. Heavy-duty Schmidt. Within a couple hours, a well-groomed delivery man, sometimes a moonlighting actor or chef, arrives at the doorstep of his Manhattan apartment, carrying weed neatly packaged in small plastic containers. These are very nice, discreet people, said Chris, who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of only his first name being used for obvious reasons. There's an unspoken trust. It's better than going to some street corner and getting ripped off or kilted. The phenomenon isn't new. It's long been the case around the country that those with enough money and the right connections could get cocaine or other drugs discreetly delivered right to their door and their place of business. But experts say home delivery has been growing in popularity thanks to a shrewder corporate style of dealing designed to put customers at ease and avoid the messy turf wars associated with other drugs. pleasant dealing. It's certainly been the trend in the past 10 years in urban areas that are becoming gentrified, said Rick Curtis, an anthropology professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice who specializes in the drug culture like George does. The corporate model and its profit potential were demonstrated late last year when the DEA announced that it had taken down a highly sophisticated organization dubbed the Cartoon Network. DEA agents arrested 12 people after using wiretaps and surveillance and making undercover buys. And it goes on, but I don't have the rest of it, nor do I want it anyway. Don't send me any more. That's pretty interesting crap right there, huh?
Sure is.
If you want the good crap, just call George. He'll give you the number. He'll give you the delivery, the take-on number.
Still have it backwards.
Look at that, 997 votes. Boy, when we get to 1,000, I'm bailing right on out. Going to go out in the streets and dance and celebrate. Isn't that exciting?
Yes, it is.
It's interesting. You look at the difference in the way the media covers these things in terms of headlines. Here's the headline in the Toronto Star today. Angry voters punish Bush. Doesn't say, well, gee, we're trying to figure out what it was that motivated the angry voters punish Bush. That's what it says. Big headline on the front page of the Toronto Star, eh? That's right. People are pissed off. They've had enough. They've had enough Bush. Enough of the BS. You can't spell Bush without BS. You do understand that.
That's right.
Just like you can't spell UM. I'm sorry. See, that's in bad taste today. I'm not supposed to do that. You have to have a little more respect.
Sure, yeah.
Well, you know, you have to be all whipped up and the tears have to well up in your eyes and go, oh, geez, they're killing people. 26 past 10 at 560 WQAM. If you're...
This is G. Gordon Liddy, and they don't come any worse than Neil Rogers.
G.W. Bush, how many drugs did you take?
About 30, man.
G.W. Bush, they must have affected your brain to get your college graduation. It cost your daddy a big chunk of change. G.W. Bush, here's another million from the NRA. You wanna be the president, leader of the band, ruler of the universe, your raving power man. You got enough bread to make it. You have the country for a toy to play. G.W. Bush, I'm gonna get my passport today. Schmuck, schmuck, you phony schmuck. Some of us have a brain. Our passports will be ready with all your little letters. Vote for you anyway. G.W. Bush, pack up the whole suitcase. G.W. Bush, you might as well move right in today. The Oval Office is waiting. Christopher Lowell's here to redecorate. So go ahead and deny you feel right. When you hear Steph Donaldson say, W. Bush, how many drugs did you take?
About 30, man.
You're gonna win anyway.
You know, maybe he's got syphilis. Did that ever dawn on you?
Who? Boca Brian?
Thank goodness we had all those very respectable people on last night, all night long, like Tom DeLay, you know, and
Oh, yeah.
that fat Bill
Criminals.
Bennett with his gambling problem. In fact, I think Bennett was on the phone with his bookie, betting on all the races as the thing was going on CNN. So one thing about the media, man, F them Zimbalist Jr. They just, it's pathetic. Anyway, before we get back to Miss Christ and all the other stuff there, University of Miami defensive tackle Brian Pata was shot and killed. Am I saying his name right, Josh?
I believe it's Pata. Pata. But were you sounding it out or something?
Was shot and killed in the parking lot of his Kendall apartment last night around an hour after he left UM's practice field, school officials said. Dade police were called to the scene of a shooting at the Colony Apartments, 9315 Southwest 77th Avenue at about 7:30 last night. When officers arrived, they found the victim dead of a gunshot wound. The details of what led to the shooting are not clear, but Pata, 22, was found dead at his residence, a UM source said. This is a sensitive, real-time, active investigation, said Dade Police spokesman Roy Rutland. He said homicide investigators were expected to be at the scene all night. Rutland said he couldn't comment on who police think might be involved. Miami Athletic Director Paul D. said, right now we're just gathering ourselves and just trying to pull ourselves together. Not bad enough they lose all them games, and they had that big brawl with FIU, and they get a bunch of guys suspended, but now we got a player dead. Pata, a 6'4", 280-pound defensive tackle, had started every game this year but one, recording 26 tackles and 2 sacks. A product of Miami Central Senior High School, Pata was majoring in criminology. Wow, criminology. And was close to receiving his degree this academic year. He was well respected among his teammates and considered a vocal leader. This is the second time a UM player has been shot this year. On July 21st, junior safety Willie Cooper was shot in the buttocks. How do you like that?
Rectum.
Shot in the ass during what was thought to have been an attempted robbery of the South Miami home. He and fellow safety Brandon Merriweather and receiver Ryan Moore are running. Cooper's injury was a flesh wound. He returned to the team in less than a week. I mean, no self-respecting football player is going to get shot in the ass and, lay out, right?
Right.
In 1996, UM linebacker Marlon Barnes was found bludgeoned to death along with his girlfriend, Tamonica Lumpkins, in his Coral Gables apartment. Remember Tamonica?
No.
In 2003, former safety Al Blades was killed in a car accident about a year after former Miami linebacker Chris Campbell, 21, who had just completed his eligibility with the Hurricanes, also died in a crash. What about Benny Blades?
Yeah, Reuben Blades.
Now, what was his name? We got that.
Brian.
What's the bit we got?
Brian.
Oh, Brian Blades and Benny Blades. They were the brothers, right?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I guess that's too long ago. That's old news. Old source.
The other night, was there a fight?
Well, we don't want to be playing that now. That would be very insensitive and very bad taste. And our morning guys would get very pissed off at me for doing that. So I'm not going to do it.
Don't do it.
So anyway, Clarence is calling the shots on the morning show. Well, you could have fooled me because it's a sport show, So poor Kenny, they bring him in there and basically, like you've been saying all along, they guaranteed his failure right off the bat. Yeah. They tied his hands and his legs together, and they said, well, go on there and get some numbers for us, Kenny. Do a real entertaining morning show. And by the way, here's a lunkhead boat camper to work with. I mean, I like him, but he's a good guy, but man, he is... Anyway, getting back to the important stuff, okay? I don't want to get involved in these other day parts. Let's see. The schedule today, we got the Mad Dog 2 to 4. Thank God that dumbass didn't miss the plane again. That's what Josh said. Mad Dog 2 to 4, the Power Hour with the Humper and the Mad Dog between 4 and 5. I'm sure they're going to be talking a lot about the election results. Humper at the Bank Atlantic Center, the Yenta Center. Now, wait a minute. The Bank Atlantic Center, is that the Yenta Center? Yeah.
Yes.
Between 5 and 7 solo. And then we got Panther preview at 7 o'clock. Panthers host the Rangers at 7:30 tonight. And Eddie K after the hockey game. Rangers are pretty marginal, pretty inconsistent. They suck. Let's get some people out there for the Panther game, for crying out loud. I'm so sick and tired of turning on the old... seeing all those people disguised as empty green seats. My God, just seas of empty seats. Really embarrassing. Oh, there's, what's his name that got walloped in Ohio? DeWine. He's DeWining.
Once again, delivering on the state's reputation as the nation.
He knew he was going to lose. He checked with his DeWining rod.
Cute.
Voters elected Charlie Crist, the state's 44th governor, Tuesday, and the first gay governor that we know of, handing him a victory over Democratic rival Jim Davis in the most expensive and one of the most vitriolic campaigns in Florida history. Crist, the Attorney General, will take office during inaugural ceremonies January 2th, becoming the first Republican to succeed another GOP governor since the 1870s. Wow. Florida's a Republican state, baby. Although Miss Foley made damn sure, that would have been really unacceptable if Joe Negron would have won that seat. If the Republicans would have held the seat. Even though, you can't blame Joe for what Miss Foley done, but nevertheless. You don't reward a party for scandalous, grotesque. Anyway, in his victory speech at the swanky Renaissance Vinoy Resort and Golf Club, Crist gave special thanks to God and his parents, but also cited Davis for his spirited and honorable campaign. Right. Tonight we all come together as one, Crist said. Wouldn't be the first time. Not as Republicans, Democrats, or Independents, but as one, as Floridians. Each Floridian will have a voice in all we do, and I will serve every Floridian with all my heart, he said. Crist declared victory around 11:20 last night, shortly after Davis, a 5-term congressman from Tampa, called him to concede the race. Although Christ is expected to continue many of fat-ass Governor Bush's policies, including education reforms that favor private school vouchers and tax cuts, he'll likely take a more populist, moderate approach to running state government. He'll lead with a legislature that remains solidly under control of conservative Republicans, redneck yahoos, but has made it clear his governing style will be driven less by ideology. Davis spent the evening with his running mate, Darrell Jones, their wives, families, and supporters in a three-bedroom suite. Their wives, families, and supporters in a three-bedroom suite watching the returns. Where is this from? The Sun Sentinel. His wife, my ass. Their wives, families, and supporters. This is just, it's pathetic, is what it is. Oh, David spent the evening. I'm sorry. I thought it said Miss Christ. See, I'm getting all emotional about that. It just pisses me off that the media, once again, you know, they cover up for certain people, and then some other people, they just, you know, the door flies wide open. And, of course, keep in mind that the St. Pete Times and the Miami Herald also had they had those emails, and they sat on them, too. The Mark Foley ones. Mm-hmm. So, evidently, they just never met a Republican they didn't like. Although St. Pete Times is supposedly a very progressive newspaper, supposedly, but then again, everything is relative in Florida. You know, maybe they got some relatives. Not that it makes any difference that Miss Christ is gay, but the fact that he's a liar and a hypocrite and a phony and campaigns against all those issues, that might have been of some interest to some people beside the one who read the New Times magazine and the ones who listened to the show, all 10 of them. Although we got 1,055 votes on the poll, I bet you that Joel is tearing his guts out. Who do the Dolphins play this weekend, Josh?
The Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, they're talking like they got a chance in that game. No chance. Where's that game, in Kansas City?
Believe so, yeah.
Oh, boy. Just because the Bears missed the team bus last week right off. And who the hell did the Patriots play this week? Hopefully, like some sister with a blind, for crying out loud. After having to play the Colts the other night, that was unfortunate. Bad scheduling, baby. Really bad scheduling. Kind of like what we got on this station. Bad scheduling. No, actually, I think we finally got everything. And Joe sounded like he was fishing around, you know? Like on a fishing expedition.
Yeah.
Probing. You know what I mean? Probing.
What was he using for bait?
No, he was probing. He was like, you know, it sounded to me like he was fishing. Mm-hmm. And I have no problems. The check shows up on time, even early every payday. The bonus check showed up like within a heartbeat. They had a donkey bring it to the house. I mean, everything is great. Life couldn't possibly be better, except maybe hitting that $166,000 jackpot. It would buy one of those good $1 machines, or maybe winning $36 million in the lotto tonight.
The biggest names, the best talent.
I sent you guys a postcard, by the way.
Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Rogers. God.
He gave his little baby son right to Madonna, and now he wants the baby back. What the hell was this guy smoking marijuana? 'Cause now he wants the baby back. Madonna already changed the kid's name to Howie, and now he wants his baby back. I wonder if FedEx ships children to Malawi, 'cause Daddy wants his baby back. Maybe the daddy is mental, 'cause he thought it was a rental. He wants him back like an overdue library book. He wants to get his baby back. He thinks that Madonna is a little boy crook, and so he wants his baby back. He thought that the deal was coming with an option. He wants to get his baby back. But that is not the definition of adoption, but still he wants the baby back. Driving with a gin and tonic, or tickets to Harry Connick. He'd have a better life with the material girl. On Thanksgiving he'll eat turkey instead of a squirrel. But he wants him back. Madonna better get herself a good attorney, 'cause Daddy wants his baby back. This thing turned out worse than a weekend with Bernie. He wants to get his baby back. I think that the dad is mental, 'cause he thought it was a rental. Is there a 30-day money-back guarantee? Maybe she'll have to find a kid in Tennessee. Daddy wants him back.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's where it ends. I just had to put some more paper in my machine, so just relax. Don't get all panicky now. Unless you want to. 1,074 votes on the poll. I'm looking And I just can't find the damn thing, the final numbers in Tennessee, because it wound up being a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. It looked like Corker was going to uncork a big win, and then Ford closed in. And last thing I seen before I went to bed was Ford was only 3 percentage points behind. I know Corker won in Tennessee, thanks to those race-baiting ads, but nevertheless. It ought to be a lot easier to find some of this stuff, but it's not. You know?
It ought to be.
Fed-up voters put the exclamation point on a long and negative campaign last night by repudiating 26-year incumbent U.S. Representative Clay Shaw of Fort Lauderdale and sending Democrat Ron Klein to Congress in his place. Bye-bye, Clay Shaw, you old turd, you old toad. He's a turd, that's what I've been told. Ron is accomplishing the impossible, and the impossible is that Ron is beating Clay Shaw in Broward County, said U.S. Representative Bobby Wexler, a Democrat of Boca, to Klein supporters at the Embassy Suites in Boca. The room erupted in cheers. Klein, a state senator from Boca, said the war in Iraq had become the dominant issue for voters in the Broward Palm Beach County District. The war created a loss of trust in Washington, leaving the opening for Klein to offer new approaches to old way of doing business and trying to get Clay Shaw's head out of Bush's ass. That has absolutely by far been the biggest issue. He said the war in Iraq is huge. Voters also cited the war. Dr. Yusuf Hammoud, 62 of Fort Lauderdale, said he's a Democrat who voted for Republican Charlie Crist for governor. And Republican Broward County Commissioner Jim Scott, he said he'd voted for Shaw in the past, but Klein won his support Tuesday. It's just Iraq, Hammoud said. The president needs to get the message. Send him a message, like Joey Zaza. Klein's campaign called for a different strategy on the war, but acknowledged he didn't have any surefire solutions. Klein said a national anti-Republican mood fueled his candidacy. What we're hearing from with people is they want to change. They can't take no more. We can't take no more Bush, no more lies, no more BS, no more dead people. See, that's the one thing, it's kind of like a bittersweet thing because it's not going to bring any of those dead people back. It's not going to restore the limbs to any of these maimed people. Whose lives were turned upside down or destroyed or erased altogether based on a bunch of lies.
But it might stop some more from happening.
It might. I noticed that Chris Matthews was like putting Howie Dean's feet to the floor there about, Iraq and what do we need to do and do you have a plan and Howie was like that. It was kind of ugly. Like Chris Matthews, kind of ugly. And buoyed by a national scandal that forced the resignation of a 12-year incumbent, political neophyte Tim Mahoney capitalized on the frustrations of a conservative electorate yesterday to become the first Democrat elected in Florida's 16th congressional district in at least 3 decades. Long time. After the lead wobbled back and forth for much of the night, Republican Joe Negron concluded just before 11 p.m. Not enough people punched Foley. The margin was well within the number of votes cast for unaffiliated candidate Emmy Ross. It's been a roller coaster, Mahoney told supporters last night at the Jupiter Beach Resort as they sipped champagne. I love this country and I love Florida. I love the people in the 16th. He loves everybody. He called Negron a class act and thanked his wife Terry and daughter Bailey. Negron, a state lawmaker from Stewart, watched results from home and later joined supporters gathered at the Hutchinson Island Marriott Beach Resort and Marina. He's the next congressman, Negron said of Mahoney. He deserves the opportunity to serve. We came in, we gave the people a competitive race, but a beat, but a boop, but a bop. In Martin County, Negron won his home base by about 12 points. Mahoney won with a strong showing in places such as Charlotte County, where about 25% of voters are registered Democratic, but nearly half the ballots cast were for Mahoney. The race for one of the state's largest and most rural districts turned from a snoozer into a bruiser 5 weeks ago when former U.S. Representative Miss Foley suddenly resigned. Negron was picked as the GOP replacement candidate. Poor Miss Foley, man. Out of control, Miss Foley. That was the problem. Letting his hormones rule his brain. That was the problem, man. Raging fag. And careless and stupid. 1,087 votes on the poll, and for the first time in a dozen years, Democrats hold a majority of all the nation's governorships after taking 20 of 36 races all across the country, including victories in states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Colorado. That'll be crucial to the 2008 presidential race. And I know you're not going to want to hear this, and you didn't watch any of this stuff last night because you were watching Tristan and Is Old.
Right, but I still want to hear it.
Well, not going to like what I have to say, though.
Oh.
Because Hillary won this unbelievable, we knew she was going to win in New York because she was running against nobody.
Don't say
but it. But I'm telling you, she had a great acceptance speech, and Bubba was sitting in the back, and he was applauding. She was good.
We're doomed.
I don't like her, but I'm telling you, she was good.
Doomed.
Well, I mean, I could give you some other song and a dance, but she made a great, she made a good acceptance speech, and she was...
Charleston? Can you do the Charleston?
I feel like the Republican Party is not my party anymore, Joan Domeck, 75, said after voting in Parma Heights near Cleveland. Democratic Representative Ted Strickland became Ohio's first Democratic governor since 1986, routing Republican challenger the unctuous Ken Blackwell, whom Democrats criticized for his role in overseeing the 2004 presidential election as Secretary of State. Isn't that interesting how Ken Blackwell was on a ballot and got walloped in Ohio, and how Katherine Harris, his earlier counterpart with fixing votes in Florida in 2000, how she was on a ballot and got walloped by Bill Nelson. I mean, she got whomped. It's time for a change. That's the buzzword, said Cindy Mushrush. That's her name, Mushrush. Oh, my God. Are you serious? Cindy Mushrush, 54, a stay-at-home mom from suburban Columbus. 10 states had open seats because of retirements, term limits, and in the case of Alaska, failure by the incumbent to win the primary. Democrats won 6 of those and also held on to vulnerable seats in Iowa, Michigan, Oregon, and Wisconsin. In Massachusetts, former civil rights prosecutor and Democrat Deval Patrick became the state's first black governor and the nation's second to be elected. He also ended a 20-year Republican grip on the governor's office in Massachusetts. In New York, Eliot Spitzer, who could be your next president, the crusading attorney general who led a crackdown on Wall Street practices, captured a state record 69% of the vote on his way to becoming the first Democratic governor since 1990. Spitzer's margin beat former Governor Mario Cuomo's mark of 64.6% in 1986. You following all these numbers? Good. In Colorado, which has voted Republican in the last 3 presidential elections, former Denver District Attorney Bill Ritter won perhaps one of the most bitter races, complete with an FBI investigation into one of many attack ads. The Democratic campaign said the information in that ad, which accused him of being soft on illegal immigrants, came from a restricted federal database. And in Maryland, Baltimore Mayor Martin O'Malley unseated Republican Governor Robert Ehrlich in a very close race. Just as Ehrlich benefited 4 years ago from his association with Bush, he suffered for it yesterday. Good. He suffered. Let him suffer then, as she suffers now. Or how was it? Let them suffer now as she suffered now. Whatever the hell he said. Remember that?
In what movie?
In The Godfather.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. The hell you don't?
I don't.
When Don Corleone, it was which one was that?
I don't know. It must be 3, which I only saw the
It was at the very beginning. No, it was not. It was at the very beginning of the first one. What is wrong with you, man? Even Josh remembers that. They beat her like an animal. She kept her honor. Yeah.
I don't
Let them suffer. Don't you remember?
Okay.
And he whispers in his ear, and Don Corleone's got.
I want them to suffer like she suffered.
That's not what. Yeah. No, that's not what he
like
said.
that.
Let them suffer now. It is not.
All right.
1,100 votes on the poll, by the way. We are kicking big, fat, smelly, slimy ass.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
Come and listen to a story about a preacher named Ted, accused of taking meth and having gay sex. And just when you thought he was a super righteous dude, out came some stories that sounded pretty crude. Bad things, that is. Gay escort, snorting meth. Well, the first thing you know, old Ted's a hypocrite. Banning gay love while he was loving it. They said beg forgiveness and drop to your knees, then cry, say you sinned, and ignore hypocrisy.
All right, praise the Lord. Pass the ammunition. It's 11:01 at 560 WQM Mad Dog at 2. And then we got all that Power Hour and the Hour with a Shower and all that other sports stuff. 1,117 votes. We got the Panther game tonight. Any interest?
No.
Which of these things do you care about most? The 1,117 votes. I am really pleased as punch. My income, $565. I can go along with that. In other words, as long as my check shows up every 2 weeks, that's all I care about.
And one kind of leads to the other.
In other words, if you're a schlepper, you can't get laid? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't think so.
Not the way you would want to be. Not in this state. Not in this city.
Well, Josh, I don't think he's making too much money, and he's evidently getting a little action there on the side, on the upside down.
Yeah, upside down.
Well, there you go.
Oh, he's a youngster.
My income, $565. My sex life, $246. Those are the two runaway leaders. I mean, money and sex. Other than that, who needs anything?
Right.
Well, that lotto sounds good tonight. $36 million. I hate this poll, 87, 7.7%. Well, you know what? We hate you too. My health, 72. Politics, 45. My faith, 38. In this heathen crowd of ours. My faith, the Lord, Jesus. The National Football League, 38, which is like a religion. See, those are tied, and I think it's rightfully so. And Iraq, only 26. I mean, who cares about Iraq? There's a lot of dead people over there, a lot of schmuck. It probably smells real bad there, I would think. Wouldn't you think?
I imagine. A lot of carcasses.
After a heated and close race, Senate candidate Harold Ford Jr. lost the first race of his career to Bob Corker. Ford congratulated Corker and thanked the voters of Tennessee for giving him the opportunity to run in the election. These moments are moments you can either shrink from or grow from, said Ford Jr., who likes white chicks. Ford said, what are you laughing about?
Nothing, just the way you say that.
Ford said he was going to pray for strength to go out and be a better person. He also he likes some ass, man. He wants to get laid, Harold Ford Jr. And just because he's got like a little bit of a suntan there, what's wrong with that? And right away they appeal to all them rednecks, Tennessee. Oh, there's a darky wanted to mess with them white chicks, with our white girls, Let's go string them up. Ford said he was going to pray for strength to grow and be a better person. He also asked his supporters at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis not to get angry about the defeat. And it was very close. It was 51 to 48%, just a 3-point loss. Those late polls showing Corker was like 13 points ahead. Remember that crap? Mm-hmm. We knew it was bogus. Oh, there's
But last night it was really on a cliffhanger. This was...
Yeah, up yours, Makakowicz. Phony baloney. 51 to 48%. So he's asking for strength to grow to be a better person and stick with his own kind and not be showing them hot white chicks, stuff like that. Like, what's her name? That blonde, your favorite, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah?
You should have that either. I don't know when that's going to be on the way.
Oh, I can't wait.
Should I check the progress? During the break, I'll check the progress of my order.
Okay.
Because you'll definitely have it this week, and so then you can forget about Tristan and Isolde, which he didn't like. Josh liked it okay. I liked it pretty good. I didn't say it was great.
I finished it. Haven't gotten to the big decapitation that you already told me about.
Speaking of that, injured soldiers returning from Iraq have brought back a superbug that has been linked with outbreaks in NHS hospitals where they've been treated, a health minister has confirmed. Well, this is from the Brit Independent. The links between casualties brought back from Iraq and outbreaks in the NHS have caused alarm within the health service and led to renewed demands for more dedicated wards for Britain's armed forces to enable wounded soldiers to be isolated more effectively. They're bringing back superbugs from Iraq.
All right.
The Health Protection Agency has urged NHS hospitals to step up their infection control measures as a result of the outbreaks of a strain of the superbug Acinetobacter baumannii, which is resistant to many types of antibiotics. I think it has something to do with venereal Bowman. A multi-resistant strain of A. baumannii, known as the T strain, has been isolated from casualties returning to the UK from Iraq, the Health Minister Andy Berman said in a Commons written answer. He said the exact source of the infection hadn't been identified, but U.S. casualties returning to America had also been found to be carrying the same superbug, the T strain. They're straining it. Experts in microbiology who were studying the links between the infection and those wounded in Iraq said an injured soldier thought to have caught the infection in Iraq may have caused a large outbreak of the superbug in an intensive care unit in an NHS hospital in southeast England. Oh, stay away from those Brits. They'll give you the schmitz. And they're a bunch of twits. And you'll notice when you watch this movie that I sent you, whatever else, on Max Point, that those British affectations, man, they're all like sissified. They all like that. They are.
I love it.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
I tell you one thing, Jonathan Rhys-Myers, I love him. They reported that the superbug was also found in 2 hospitals in the Midlands and soldiers had been injured while serving in Iraq. The HPA said last night it was thought the T strain survived in soil and sand in warm climates such as Iraq. How do you like that? Another Iraq attack. Another reason why that it's just mind-boggling. And then, of course, all these pundits, all these talking heads. Well, the public is sending a message here. We're not really sure which message it is, what they're most upset about. I mean, what does it take, If this wouldn't have happened at least as much as it did last night, this turnabout, I'd have been just nauseous. Speaking of nauseous, Britney Spears files for divorce.
Too late.
She's filed, she's tainted goods now, man. Taint what she used to be. Britney Spears has filed a petition for divorce from Kevin Federline. TMZ, that's that artsy-fartsy website.
Gossipy site, yeah.
Right. TMZ obtained the legal papers filed in L.A. County Superior Court yesterday, citing irreconcilable differences from this slimeball that she married, her high school sweetheart. Oh, man. In her petition, Spears asked for both legal and physical custody of the couple's 2 children, 1-year-old Sean Preston and 2-month-old Jaden James, with Federline getting reasonable visitation rights. In other words, like once every 10 years. As for money, sources tell TMZ the couple married in October 2004 has an ironclad prenup. Not surprisingly, Spears is waiving her right to spousal support. She's also asking the judge to make each party pay their own attorney fees. Spears gives the date of separation as yesterday, the same day she flaunted her incredible revamped physique during a surprise appearance on the Letterman show. Sources tell TMZ there was no single reason for Britney pulling the plug. Rather, it was a string of events. She pulled a string. Spears has hired powerhouse celebrity divorce lawyer Laura Wasser, who has repped a number of celebrities, including Angelina Jolie, Nick Lachey, and Kiefer Sutherland. Nick, who squeezed that bitch for every dime he could squeeze out of her ass. And we're told Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Philippe asked Wasser, is that Philippi asked Wasser to represent both of them in their split, but Wasser declined for personal reasons. Yeah, maybe he changed the word. Maybe he's like Tony Dorsett. Maybe he's like Ryan Philippi now. How do you say they pronounced it?
Philippi.
Yeah, Philippi my ass.
What does Ryan Filipino?
He's Filipino? I don't think so. You don't look like no Filipino to me. Maybe put a different slant on that marriage. Anyway, you hate Reese Witherspoon in the first place, but I don't understand why.
She's ugly.
No. Well, there's a lot of that going around, I'll tell you that.
I mean, I don't hate her. I just consider her ugly.
Yeah.
And when she makes grimacy faces, it's scary, even uglier.
I never really paid that much attention to Reese Witherspoon. I did go to school with a kid named Bob Witherspoon in high school. He was a lot prettier than she is. A California doctor is accused of taking hundreds of photographs of different patients while they were unconscious and semi-nude at his clinic in Dublin, California. I guess he was doubling his pleasure. A $1 million arrest warrant's been issued for Dr. Tony Shiu, who's also I guess they dropped the other Shiu, huh? What are all these stupid things that you're saying? I don't know. I'm giddy, from all this election, too much election coverage last night. Hour after hour. I just can't believe that we were watching Tristan and Isolde instead of watching election returns.
Well, because I knew that anything...
Good choice.
There wouldn't be anything definitive until way later anyway, and then I fell asleep.
Definitive?
Yeah, definitive. Like
a $1 million arrest warrant's been issued for Dr. Shiu, who's also accused of sexually battering two men at his home. Shiu is in private practice in Dublin, California, where he's practicing. However, he disappeared after the warrant was issued. Authorities believe he's left the San Francisco Bay Area. A search of Shiu's home turned up about 450 digital photographs of 19 male patients who were unconscious and undressed in medical examination rooms. Only 2 of the patients photographed have been positively identified, police be saying. You can imagine how shocked they were when we showed them naked pictures of themselves, Dublin Police Sergeant Herb Walder said. Police were alerted to Shiu after 2 men said they woke up at his home last August with no memory of the previous night. Well, that's probably just for the better, Yeah. The men said they had drinks with Shiu. He allegedly drugged the 2 men and raped one of them, Walters told the San Francisco Chronicle. What a prevert. The men were taken to a hospital where they tested positive for a drug that's commonly prescribed for anxiety, but can cause memory impairment and confusion. It was a ball of confusion. Also, one of the men was found to have been sexually assaulted. Police said one of the men had known Shiu for years, but the other had just met him on the night of the alleged attack. Picked him up at some floozy fag bar, no doubt. The Chronicle reported that the men said they first met Shiu at his home with plans to meet friends in Oakland and Emeryville for an evening out in San Francisco. But after having 2 drinks each and arriving at Shiu's home, they lost all memory for the rest of the night. Witnesses told us they made it to Oakland and Emeryville, but that the 2 men were too far out of it to continue on to San Francisco. Walter said it's believed that Shiu drove him back to his home after all of that. When the men woke up the following morning, they became suspicious, and then they went to a hospital for examination. And the doctors took a deep inside there and took a long look. And God only knows what kind of crap they're going to find in there. I mean,
funny.
1,154 votes on the poll. You don't have to give me that bird kind of cackle. I mean, it's just it's the day after Election Day. It's WW Woodbine Wednesday. Don't forget to change that poll this afternoon. Shortcakes.
I'll
short stuff.
Try not to.
Please. Oh no. Wonder if he voted yesterday up there in Lakeland. A vote from the other side. Corker 51 and Ford 48. What a shame. It's a damn good thing they put those race baiting ads on there. Corker might have just got his ass whooped.
Yo, what up? This is K-Fed, Kevin Federline. I'm a daddy again. Ha! Guess I ain't no one-hit wonder. Take that, music critics. Anyway, I sure don't want to be known as Kevin Fertile-Line, so I've created my own condoms. Introducing Federliners. Federliners are different. They're condoms that chicks wear, because I believe birth control, like pretty much everything else in life, is a woman's responsibility.
Federliners.
And Federliners are built for my pleasure, just like a chick that wears them.
Federline.
So tell your wife, girlfriend, significant other, or whatever you're sleeping with at the moment to go down to the nearest drugstore and pick up a package of Federliners.
What?
Oh, and make sure they pick up something to eat, too. Oh, I'm starving. Oh, and some beer, and rent a couple of video games, and some smokes, and some ice cream.
So you can make all the fun you want of him, and I'm more than glad to do it myself because he's got no talent and he's grotesque and a piece of crap. But nevertheless, and trailer trash. But he was doing her when she was doable, number one. And number two, he's, I think, going to get $10 million out of that prenup deal.
No, he's enviable based on those things.
Right.
Especially when you consider that he's got, no talent, no look, and he smells bad.
Right. Trailer trash.
Mm-hmm. He won the lottery.
Oh, speaking of the lottery, I think that $36 million sounds like a good number tonight. I'll send you a card one of these days. Sank Ugar on the Smirkling Chimp writes, Jim Webb and John Tester are the winners. Oh! That's what he says. Well, they are, but, pretty tense, pretty tight, really tight. Jim Webb and John Tester won the initial count in Virginia and Montana. It's clear and indisputable that they deserve the same presumption of victory that George W. Bush received in 2000. They're the winners until conclusively proven otherwise by every method, accounting, and court review possible. We have winners in Virginia and Montana, he says. The question is whether George Allen and Conrad Burns, there's Burns and Allen again, can petition the courts and the electoral process within their states to change those outcomes. As it stands, the Webb and Tester leads are conclusive. They will not be overtaken in the regular count. The vote count shows that they've been elected as the new senators from their states. Of course, Allen and Burns can spare their states the grief and hassle of a recount. I believe those were the kind of words used against Gore in 2000, and I haven't even gotten to the constitutional crisis, if they gracefully accept the will of the people. I will be consistent here and say that if the states allow for a recount to challenge the results of the elections, they should definitely get one. I believe in counting all the votes. We've done that already, and Webb and Tester have won, but there's little harm in double-checking if state law provides for it. But what is clear is that there are winners, and if the losers want to challenge the vote, that is their right. If Allens and Burns want to choose to accept that they've lost instead and bow out graciously, I'm sure no one would argue. That would set a fine example of civility. Oh, whoever accused Senator Makakowicz of being civil, huh? Wow. Good old Makakowicz is going down. What a shame. And the interesting part of it is he was ahead all night long, right until the ass end. And he got bit right in the ass end. 1,173 votes on the poll. Why don't you put on there, it's just... Yeah. That was so sad. Which of these do you care about most? This is, and that's another good reason not to take calls, is because even when we had a poll like this that was closed, I would say, we're not taking any more suggestions. This is limited, that's it. This is the choice we're giving you, Mm-hmm. Well, I got one for the poll. Those were the days, weren't they? Those really scintillating, I got one for the poll days. Oh, our poll building. And then, of course, we had poll building's boring. That one. Yeah. 1,173 votes. Which of these do you care about most? My income, 583. My sex life, 255. And George says they go hand in gland in hand. My health, 92. I hate this poll, 88. Politics, 48. My faith, 40. The National Football League, 39. And Iraq, 28. I will say this. I don't agree with you. Because back when I was a schlepper in my early days in the market, I was getting a hell of a lot more action back in those days than I have been, like now. Like
all of us were getting way more action when we were younger people.
When we were younger, that's right. Young and hung and full of fun.
And still, it takes a little bit of money.
And back in those days, it did. You're right.
Because you got to carouse for a while before you can,
Well, or whatever, whatever the situation might be. Speaking of hanky spanky, the career of a rising young Iranian actor has been left in tatters by the widespread distribution of a private film showing her having sex. Police are investigating the woman who has not been officially named for a suspected breach of Iran's strict morality laws forbidding sex outside marriage. Unmarried people who break the law are subject to punishment by lashing. Investigators have also asked Interpol to arrest and extradite the woman's male partner who is thought to have fled Dubai. The man is suspected of distributing the explicit film, which may have been shot using a camcorder with the woman's consent. If convicted, he faces up to 3 years in jail and a £6,000 fine. However, the biggest impact could be on his partner's hitherto burgeoning screen career. The actress, who's in her mid-20s, appeared destined to land more roles in TV dramas and Iran's small but lively film industry after her role in a popular soap opera. but the stigma of sexual scandal now makes that unlikely. Stringent Islamic rules preclude even cursory touching between men and women in Iranian productions, while foreign programs and films are rigorously censored for illicit intergender contact. Preclude even cursory touching. Got it?
I got it.
Look but don't touch.
Even above the bra?
Even above, below, around the side, right down there by the ass. The incriminating film is believed to be 2 years old, but began circulating as a DVD on some websites a few weeks ago, titillating a public starved of the celebrity gossip common in the Western media. The Iranians are titillated. It came to the attention of the Morals Police, who are charged with enforcing Iran's Islamic laws. The Morals Police. All right. Police said they've not established a motive for the film's distribution. Tehran's chief prosecutor, Saeed Mortazavi, has ordered a special investigation. Saeed. That's what they say. Tehran's police chief, Brigadier General, I'm not going to read these names, told reporters that the film's participants unclean.
Talking about Brittany again?
Yeah. Now, she cleaned up her act, evidently. I did not see her on Letterman because I don't watch
Letterman. She slims down and everything, but, you know.
Yeah, I know. Tain't what it used to be.
No.
But then again, what is, you know?
Scarlett Johansson.
After she can sort it with that. Well, I don't know.
I know.
She evidently, in the movie, the character that she was playing was sure getting around. Now, who's she married to? Is she married Scarlett Johansson?
She dates, but she's not married.
She dates, but she's not married. What? Just the way you said that was so kind of like...
Yeah.
Wasn't it, Josh? She dates, but she's not. How the hell do you know whether she dates, what she dates, who she dates?
I'm stalking her.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And when you see this movie, you'll be watching silk stockings, or maybe wearing them.
One.
over your head as you do your Cecil Collins and break in the window.
That's not what
I remember those days. I tell you, man, the hurricane days. Wow, I mean, this is a tragedy with this kid getting killed and everything, but never. Now, did you notice how Kenny and Bo were like? It sounded like on the edge of breakdown. Did you notice that on that rejoin?
Yeah, I was trying not to think about that.
I mean, granted, although there was another story about another guy who got shot, 25, and it said it wasn't related to the shooting of the football player, and they don't know who done it, and he's dead, and he was 25 and just got shot on the street, and right down there in South Florida, and I didn't hear them talking about that, because he wasn't a football player, I guess. See, when somebody of note, somebody who's got some kind of notoriety because they're a jock or a celebrity or whatever, when they get shot and killed, it's really a tragedy, you know what? Well, like when Joe Smith from down the street, when he gets shot and killed, or somebody that nobody ever heard of, oh, gee, and that's too bad. And where are we going for lunch? You know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
1196, we're gonna bust through 13. We're gonna bust way through today. Today's a big day, and I think that's because the audience is all whipped up and fired up because of that big election yesterday. Don't you think that's got something to do with it? No. Sounds pretty good though, doesn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, just like that. And the even better news is that thanks to Duff and me, I could have said, oh, no, these guys don't want that again. Don't do that to them again. I could have said that. That would have been a lie, first of all. Now, what about Josh? You ready for another tub or two of ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
Coming Friday.
I'm ready.
Yeah, another Rocky
Coming
Road.
Friday, Duff came in and said our good friends from Jackson's in Dania want to bring in some more ice cream. And also the Weenie Man is coming back with those foot-long premium all-beef hot dogs. So make some room. Sit on the dumper for a few hours tomorrow being Thursday, and then by Friday morning you'll be ready. You'll open up a big vacant spot to fill with them premium wieners, and of course tubs and tubs of that fantastic Jackson's ice cream with all that goopy stuff on it. You know, hot fudge and butterscotch. See, that doesn't make any difference. No, it doesn't make any difference because it's Wednesday.
Oh, I understand.
I have no eating plan. I have no eating in my future today. Unless, of course, I get really lucky early and win like a big, get a good machine on.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking I really ought to play the Megabucks, even though it's a sucker game because they're all connected in all the different casinos. But the jackpot on that thing, the progressive, is $2.6 million. You know what I'm saying?
What are you saying?
In other words, why would you play a machine where the most you could win on is $166,000, and that's almost never going to happen anyway? And when you can play one where, again, it may never happen, but at least you're shooting for something for real. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
$2.6 million?
Yeah.
And again, just like with that Loud Night, I'd send you guys a little something.
Well, you're sweet.
Well, we know that. In fact, I figured what I was going to do is I would send a check to a Chicken Neck, and then let him divvy it up among you three guys whatever way he sees fit.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers.
You didn't want to
Sports
see
Radio
it anyway.
560 QAM.
This is Larry King, and they don't come any better than Neil Rogers.
Coming up cheesecake, it's making the knees shake. All of the old folks off at the mall. They're checking the CDs. No, they never say please. Just waiting for the early bird special to come. I'm dying over here. Oi! Wasting away again in good old Hollywood. Searching for the false teeth they left in a glass. And how dare they claim that there's a dark horse to blame, but they know it's their own damn fault. They're shoving in line to get the early bird on time. They're pushing just as hard as they can. And once they are seated, they get overheated and start stuffing rolls and sweet and low in their bags. All right. Wasting away again in good old Hollywood. Looking for that long-lost fountain of youth. And how did it say that it's a bowl of prunes a day? But for some, an enema in the blues. The old folks don't know the reason nothing is pleasing. Their muscles ache and their teeth just don't fit. But what does it matter when they call up Neil and chatter? I hate you, Neil, and never listen to your show. Wasting away again in good old Hollywood. Just a box of Metamucil and a radio. And how dare they claim that it's a dark horse to blame?
Absolutely.
But Neil knows they can't wait for his show. How dare they claim that it's a dark horse to blame? But Neil knows they just can't wait for his show.
And Enema and the Blues, man, words that will live in infamy in Hallandale for decades. I wonder if Sonny Rosenberg's dead yet. Probably not. Hey, Sonny, up yours. 1,231 votes on the poll. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. We're going to do 14 today. 14 votes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many Kinky Friedman got.
14?
Kinky Friedman ended his unlikely and politically incorrect run for Texas governor with a tip of his black cowboy hat. We gave Texas a choice. It appears she didn't really embrace it, Friedman told supporters last night, after his independent effort to unseat Republican incumbent Governor Rick Perry failed at it. The 62-year-old author and entertainer never officially conceded, but acknowledged the long odds he faced against Perry, Democrat Chris Bell, and Carol Keaton Strayhorn, the Republican state controller who ran as an independent. All of them finished ahead of Kinky. We were up against 3 very professional machines, he said. They made it difficult from the beginning. We were gypsies on a pirate ship. When these machines crank up, they're very hard to stop, he said. Kind of like the ones at Woodbine. When they're cranky, they're hard to stop, those machines. Friedman hoped to reprise Jesse Ventura's surprise Minnesota victory 8 years ago, used a number of Ventura's campaign officials, and brought the former pro wrestler to Texas to campaign with him. He also enlisted a number of his friends in entertainment, Jimmy Buffett, Willie Nelson, and Lyle I Love It, to raise money for him, but it wasn't enough. We had no money, he said. We had nothing but musicians, beauticians, and amateurs in our campaign. Friedman, who wrote books like Kill Two Birds and Get Stoned, and songs like They Ain't Making Jews Like Jesus Anymore, couldn't over, I love that. They ain't making Jews like Jesus anymore.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Couldn't overcome the financial and logistical clout of the 2 major parties, which he compared to the Crips and Blood street gangs. One of the problems with the 2-party system is it doesn't give us the 2 best choices, he said last night. We gave Texas a choice this time. At least the choice was there. But then again, the Texans said, no. No thanks, Kinky. To even get on the ballot, Friedman had 2 months this year to collect signatures of at least 45,000 plus voters who didn't vote in the March primary, although he turned in nearly 4 times that number. To raise money, he sold T-shirts and gimme caps, a foot-tall Kinky Friedman talking action figure, and bumper stickers touting Kinky for governor, why the hell not? As the campaign heated, Friedman stumbled, drawing criticism for referring to Katrina refugees in Houston, many of them black, as crackheads and thugs, responsible for a jump in crime in the state's largest city. His attitude toward race took another hit when audio tape surfaced from a more than 2-decade-old comedy bit in which he made racially charged remarks. Friedman explained it as satire, but civil rights leaders and others were offended. I think that hurt us, he said. I think that was an effective smear campaign. He needed to move beyond funny one-liners and take a more serious approach to the issue, said Thomas Myers, a political science university professor at Baylor. What did I say? A political science professor at Baylor. But that wasn't Friedman, who even last night began his final remarks at Schultz Garden, the Austin Beer Hall, crammed with several hundred cowboy hat and jeans-wearing supporters, with a joke denying he had sex with a male masseuse. I don't think the average voter in Texas considered him to be a serious contender. No. The defeat wasn't Friedman's first. 20 years ago, he lost a bid for the Justice of Peace in Curville, not far from his ranch, where he has organized a rescue group for animals, and where his parents, for years, ran a summer camp for kids. Kind of, brings back memories of Al Goldstein, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
He was always running for sheriff and running for this and running for his life. And of course, he couldn't run too fast.
I'm a fat Jew.
For obvious reasons. I bet he runs a lot faster now, especially the bill collectors come to see him. Whatever happened to Al? Are we ever going to find any traces of him?
We hear reports, but I haven't in a long time.
Like what? What reports do we hear?
He was up in New York, and that he was getting better, and he was, lost some weight and got a job and all these things.
Look at that, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 again today. That's 2 days in a row. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a good Oldman, man. That's a really good Oldman. I have no idea why, but 1,234 votes. Even George can't believe that.
Unbelievable.
Although some of us did change the poll yesterday in a very timely fashion.
Mm-hmm. Some of you.
Yeah, some of us, like me, like yours truly.
Like I screwed up once.
Old and fat as I am. Hey, listen, I don't really care. You know that. If I cared, I would have chewed your ass an ugly piece.
I know. I still feel bad about it.
It already is, I'm sure. 1, 2, 3, 6. Like I said, 1,236 votes. Well, why don't you put on there my family and my dog and my canary and my bird? Oh, boy. I just don't understand it. There's so many things, but, don't ask any questions. Just take the paycheck on payday and enjoy life. That's my best suggestion. That's my advice. That's Father Neil passing along some good fatherly advice. Just take your money and have a great time. And don't be spreading too much of it. Don't be building a whole bunch of it up to leave to a bunch of scroungers that want to glom onto it when you croak. That's what George says. Isn't that what you always tell me?
All the time.
Spend it and have a great time. Go to Woodbine, lose 50, 100,000 this afternoon. Have a hell of a good time doing it.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is
sure as hell beats leaving it to
Sports Radio
people.
560 QAM.
Guy f***ing blow.
Baby Madonna, you were born to fame. Takes me one whole minute to say your whole name. Baby Madonna, let the bassinet. Have you met your Uncle Sean and Warren yet? Photographers will be there when you wake up. The post breastfed. So how's she ever gonna get you breastfed?
13 till noon at 560 WQAM. Josh gave us some bad information. The Dolphins and Kansas City Chiefs is a home game, mister.
Well, I had the team right.
And the Jets are playing the Patriots in Foxborough on Sunday. And the Bucks play Monday night at
Carolina.
I beg your pardon? Nothing could be finer than to get beat again by Carolina, the Bucks. That's Josh's team, the Bucks, and he wants everybody to know that they suck and he's embarrassed, but who cares? You know, this childish business about, well, my team is better than your team, you know, that's for guys who are like compare weenie length in the locker room, stuff like that, you know, or out in the public parks, wherever they're just comparing. Childish. Isn't that what, like, aren't a lot of people awfully childish?
A lot.
1,257 votes on the poll, and I'm not going to read that poll too much because then it's childish. You know?
It's childish.
Don't be childish, Neil. Don't be childish. Be churlish, but don't be childish.
Girlish?
Jewish. Openly gay candidates have won elections in record numbers, and the Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund celebrated its unprecedented success in a press release obtained by Raw Story, and it was really raw. Oh, by the way, they're already saying that they're going to appeal for the recount in Virginia, but I don't know, because I just read a story on Raw Story that says that they can't do it until like 10 days after the election. Well, whatever, I don't know. It's going to be a long schlep. Recounted those Virginia votes. And then, of course, a bunch of dead people will come out, all have voted for Makakowicz. Anyway, getting back to this story, if we please can, 67 victory-endorsed candidates were elected to federal, state, and local offices, with some winning historic races that make them the first openly gay or lesbian candidates ever elected in their states or legislative bodies, the Political Action Committee declared. And this is even without counting Miss Christ, who's still, of course, buried deep in the closet thanks to the MSM, the so-called mainstream media. Chuck Wolf, CEO for the Victory Fund, called it the tipping point election for openly gay candidates. We're proving that qualified, well-prepared candidates matched with committed donors means gays and lesbians can move from having a stake in policy to actually making policy, Wolf said in the press release. There's no reason to sit on the sidelines with our fingers crossed, or our legs either, anymore for that matter. Patricia Todd will represent District 54 in the Alabama State House. She's the first openly gay person ever elected to any office in that state. Kathy Webb will represent District 37 in the Arkansas State House, first openly gay person ever elected to any office in Arkansas. Henry Fernandez, who won a seat on the Lawrence Township School Board, makes him the first openly gay person ever elected to any office in Indiana. Al McCaffrey, who will represent District 80 in the Oklahoma State House, is the first openly gay person ever elected to the Oklahoma State Legislature. Jolly Justice. Isn't that what we had yesterday on Election Day? We had some Jolly
Jokers.
Jolie Justice will represent District 10 in the Missouri State Senate. Jolie is the first openly gay state senator in Missouri history. Ed Murray will represent District 43 in the Washington State Senate. Murray, former state representative, is the first openly gay state senator in Washington history. Matt McCoy becomes the first openly gay candidate ever elected to the Iowa legislature. He's a sitting state senator, came out during his last term. Hey, Charlie, come out, wherever you are, Governor-elect, you phony fag. Ken Keachel will won a seat on the Broward County Commission in Florida, beating an appointee of Governor Jeb Bush. How do you like that? You go, Ken. You go, girl. Jamie Peterson, who becomes the third consecutive openly gay person to be elected to District 43 in the Washington State House, and Judge Virginia Linder will join Reeves Kistler on the Oregon Supreme Court, making it the first state ever to have two openly gay Supreme Court justices, according to preliminary results. How do you like that?
Mm-hmm.
The public was striking back with a vengeance, pissed off and fired up, man. They've had it. Even a third of the Getchkis, a third of the evangelicals voted for Democrats yesterday. That is shocking. I wonder who may be partly responsible for that.
Come and listen to a story about a preacher named Ted.
Yeah, and maybe Miss Foley might have had something to do with that, too. Nice going, Mark. X marks the spot. Right on the page's ass. 1,263 votes, man. We have got a real serious shot at 14 today, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What do you care?
I don't.
If you don't say that, pretend that you care. If you won't lie for me, then I'm not going to get you that ice cream on Friday. I'll have Muff cancel it.
Oh, you'll have to do better than that.
What do you mean by that?
As far as threats go, Jackson's is like 5 blocks from my house.
Oh, yeah, like fat chance you're going there, right? And having to pay for it.
I don't need to be eating no ice cream, as delicious and delectable as it is, as you know.
So in other words, you don't want it? How
I
about
do
you,
want
Josh? Josh will eat what you don't eat, he said.
All right, yeah.
I'll take all the extra tubs.
Yeah. He said he's bringing one of those styrofoam coolers, one of those. Yeah, he's going to take home all
tub.
You won't eat. Tubs of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tubs and tubs of ice cream. Well, he's getting tubby anyway. That's what I'm hearing.
Josh? Yeah, big as a house.
Well, he wants to be the humper when he grows up. Did you tell Hank yesterday that I'm worried about him and I wish he would lose an ounce?
No, I didn't see him.
I'm a good one to talk, man. If I told you what I weighed on the scale this morning, you would puke up yesterday's breakfast. I'm telling you that right now.
Better start spending that money.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's right.
Get busy.
That's right. I could put away like $50 for all of my good close friends, couldn't I? Like, a reasonable amount, and then just spend the rest of what I got.
Blow it all. Have a good time.
Israel will not target Iran's nuclear facilities, which the Jewish state says are used to secretly develop an atomic bomb, a senior U.S. official says. Israel will not target Iran's nuclear facilities because it has said this is a problem with the entire world, the official told AFP. Israel understands the only way to defuse the nuclear crisis is through diplomatic channels. Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, who's crazier than a bedbug, will meet George W. Bush, who we already know is much crazier than a bedbug, in Washington next week for talks which are expected to focus on Iran's controversial nuclear programming. Israel, widely considered the Middle East's sole if undeclared nuclear weapons power, considers Iran its chief foe, pointed calls from President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad to wipe the Jewish state off the map and to wipe their butt. Iran denies it's seeking to develop an atomic weapon and insists its nuclear program is purely to generate electricity. That's right. For your father. The Iranians. They're all worried about that soap opera star. She was doing it. She was touching a guy. Oh, it's just amazing. But you know something? Everybody's entitled to their own superstitions and their own hocus pocus. Just leave people alone. Don't sit around making fun of people just because they're stupid and act like barbarians. Right?
Why not?
Well, I'm being sarcastic. Make all the fun you want.
I know it.
Just like these people with their burqas, with their hijabs and burqas. Oh my God! There's so many of them here. You plots.
All of it. All the headgear: turbans, beanies, propeller beanies.
Yeah.
Pointy hats.
How about like that nice cowboy hat that Senator Makakowicz wears? He's sporting one, man. No, I'm confused. That's Harold Ford Jr. He's sporting one.
Yeah, Kinky Friedman wears one too.
Which of these do you care about the most, we asked today, and this is a limited, just a few of these disconnected things here, okay? Just probing. 1,273. My income, 614. 48, almost half of the people are more concerned about their income than anything else. That's on this poll. I mean, I'm sure they care about their family and their loved ones and their puppy dog and their kitty cat.
Yeah, sure.
My sex life, 274. My health, 126. You notice how my health has gone zooming up. I forgot it yesterday. It was my oversight. My bad. And one of the first things I said to George this morning, besides dumbass, was better put my health on there. Remember that?
So I put your health right on there.
And he put my health on there, and my health is important to 126 people out there. It's also important to Joe Bell, who was probing this morning.
Was he?
About signing me to about a 400-year extension on my deal. Don't worry, Joe. I'm not going anywhere, okay, as long as you're willing to send those big checks. Just keep sending the checks. I like it. Because it gives me the luxury of going out there to Woodbine and plunging my guts out. Like that day I told you I found out about the ratings. I got the email from my close friend Clarence. Oh, and you guys were number one during the summer. And I'm sitting there at the machine, and all of a sudden there was no pressure no more. I could have lost my ass that day, and still I had that nice big bonus coming to more than cover it.
Right. It's like winning with a machine you didn't even put any money in.
Right, that's correct.
It's like the one in your pocket went off. How often does that happen?
I hate this poll. I hate George. I hate this poll 93, 7.3%. Politics 50. My faith 45. Oh, the Lord is where it's at. The Lord, my Lord and Savior, and all this other crap. The God bullshit. The National Football League 42, which, like I said, is a religion unto its own. And Iraq, only 29. I mean, I'm not saying they don't care about Iraq, but it's like not high in their floating pool. 227D, 195R in the House as of the moment. But that still leaves so that's like a 32 seat edge for the Democrats right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's still a few too close to call. What does that add up to? 227 and 195?
I don't know. You want me to do math?
No, it's, come on now. It's 422, so there's 13 still out of 435. Listen, you know every one of these members of Congress by name, shoe size. You know them all.
That's right.
Oh, there was that grotesque Judge Scalia on there. Or maybe he went duck hunting with Cheney yesterday.
This is Mark Morgan. It's the 12 to 1 hour on QAM.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for John Kerry.
Thank you. What a crowd. Make no mistake. This president is someone who walks into a singles bar and says, "Hi, do I come here often?" What's with that Denny Hastert? You know, Hastert is so fat.
How fat is he?
He is so fat, he asked Krispy Kreme to come out with a drinkable donut because he's too lazy to chew. He is so fat, he only has a few more pounds to go before he can get the automatic doors at Walmart to open. The Republicans have always been in favor of global warming. Once they found out a hybrid hooker goes much further than a regular hooker. They say in the next election there'll be a woman president, Hillary or Condi. You know who will win that election? Pat Paulson in a landslide. Thank you. Good night.
So, is he a panic or what, huh? Scary. 1202 at 560 WQM. It's our big noon to 1 hour. 1,290 votes on the poll, man. And there's that Nancy Pelosi. She's all over the place today, man. She's got her gavel out. She's going to bang some ass. Well, she is from San Francisco. At any rate, so Montana looks like it's widening a little bit. With those final trickle come in, it looked like Burns is like a little bit further behind than he was. And he said it burns bad. So if, we can count that one pretty safe.
Yeah.
So that makes 50, if you count the two independents, 50 Democrats. So the worst it could be, even if Virginia got overturned, which I doubt, but if it did, if they make up a bunch of phony absentee ballots for Makakowicz, then it would be 50-50. And then you got Dick Cheney. He'd be the deciding vote. What a grotesque thought that is. So let's, like I said, hope that Makakowicz stays in the behind. Here's a fashion question, writes R.J. Eskow on the Smirking Chimp. Do you think the Republican who masterminded those deceptive pre-election phone calls in Virginia is a winter or an autumn? That could determine whether he goes with the blue jumpsuit or the orange one. There are some good signs on the democracy protection front. Democrats appear to be getting over their timidity about electoral fraud issues as Nancy Pelosi leads the rhetorical charge to make sure that there's an honest count. My main fear has been that satisfaction over a Democratic victory might lead to indifference about the GOP's systematic subversion of democracy. Hopefully, that won't be the case. MoveOn.org is offering $250,000 for new material evidence leading to a felony conviction for an organized effort of partisan voter suppression or electronic voting fraud. Prediction: the GOP will hire private detectives to scour the country for any sign of Democratic fraud, and when they don't find anything, they'll gin up a phony conservative outrage or two. You know, a voter named Mickey Mouse or something like that. Oh, I know Mickey. It won't matter if they do. The public is wise to their tricks and is fed up. The new Congress will hopefully press the matter, even if much of the mainstream media can't bring itself to acknowledge the widespread use of harassing robocalls by Republicans as a vote suppression tactic. Guess what? It looks like there will be some indictments on the phone sabotage front. The FBI is already looking into it in Virginia. It says, dump, dump, dump. Yeah, that's what it says here. I could have done it myself. This one could catch up with the GOP, too. Inaccurate sample ballots describing Republican Governor Robert Ehrlich Jr. and Senate candidate Michael S. Steele as Democrats were handed out to voters in at least 4 polling sites in Prince George's County yesterday morning. Low-income people were brought in from nearby states to hand out these misleading documents. I hope somebody's got the license numbers of the vehicles that brought them, since there's a good likelihood they were used in the commission of a felony. The perps in these various acts have seriously misread the public mood. Neither the general public nor the Congress are likely to forgive and forget the ongoing theft of democracy the way they did in 2000 and 2004, no matter what the pundits try telling them to think. The trickle of indictments that followed the 04 outrages may well become a flood this time around. There's one reason why the FBI is jumping on the Virginia case. They know that a slow response is going to bring heat from Capitol Hill. Another reason why they're acting may well be the simple fact that they respect the rule of law and the primacy of the Constitution. They're going to fight the law, but the law's going to win. Oh, I bet you got that. I Fought the Law by Bobby Fuller, 4.
Sure, coming right up.
Oh, man. That was a medley of their smash. Another one-hit wonder, although I think they had, didn't they have something else?
I'll check it out.
Fuller Brushman, something like that. I think they did. Let me look in my book while, there it is. On an orange label, some obscure label. That's all you got?
No, it just stopped. Oh, damn computer.
That's George again. Lunatic.
That's it. As far as,
and the law. Okay. That's all we need. Bobby Fuller 4. Born on October 22nd, 43 in Baytown, Texas. Died mysteriously of asphyxiation in Los Angeles on 7/18/66 at the age of 22. Rock singer, guitarist Bobby Fuller. His group included his brother Randy. He played the bass, Jim Reese guitar, and Dwayne Quirico on drums. Quirico.
Oh.
I Fought the Law reached number 9 on the chart, was on the chart for 8 weeks. Love's Made a Fool of You was their other chart-reaching, written by Buddy Holly, as a matter of fact. Mustang was the label. Mustang Records. But he didn't have no other hit. That was a one-hit wonder. And then he died all of a sudden mysteriously from asphyxiation or something like that. Somebody fixed his ass. Anyway, can I get back to this? They're going to fight the law, but the law's going to win, it says here. Catastrophes and technical glitches are sweeping the country as a result of Republican-led voting machines. Once the evildoers are all behind bars, the next step will be to roll back the legalized disenfranchisement of the primarily poor minority voters done in the name of voter fraud. Despite the fact that the government couldn't find any significant evidence of individuals without ID voting fraudulently, the GOP has led the charge to require ID at the polling place. Since driver's licenses are the primary form of ID, that effectively disenfranchises many of the working poor who don't drive and don't have the time or money to get alternative forms of ID. In a karmically pleasing Twilight Zone-ish twist, at least 2 GOP lawmakers had difficulty voting as a result of these requirements, and this story is more Stephen King than Twilight Zone, but that's just because of the protagonist's identity. I live in California, forgot my wallet when I went to vote. Surprise, no problem, no evidence of voter fraud in my state, he says. Let's hope the new Democratic Congress, barring some unforeseen coup, makes the preservation of our democratic rights a major initiative. Anything less than that would be an abandonment of our fundamental rights and liberties. And now for the nostalgia buffs among you, we offer today's installment of Great Moments in Republican History. A quote, "I'm John Bolton, I'm from the Bush-Cheney campaign, and I'm here to stop the vote counting," said the poll workers counting ballots in Florida in 2000. How do you like that, huh? I'm here not to count the vote, I'm here to stop the count. Isn't that what Renfield said, too? He wanted to stop the count?
No, he liked the count.
1,303 votes, and it's only 12:09. Man, oh, man. We're off to some kind of cataclysmic, unbelievable thing coming. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I had you shut off there.
Oh, that's all right.
I think that was a Freudian slip.
You just me calling you a fat fag.
Oh, you said that? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Josh said it. No, that was the other day.
That was off the air.
Well, one thing about the Israelis, they give you a little piece of reassuring news, even though we don't believe it, and then all of a sudden you find out Israeli artillery shells killed 18 civilians in a town in northern Gaza today, the deadliest strike in the territory in 4 years, Palestinian officials and witnesses said. We saw legs, we saw heads, we saw hands scattered in the street, said Ataf Hamad 22 in Beit Hanun, a town in the northern Gaza Strip that's been a launching ground for Palestinian militants' rocket attacks on Israel. The strike drew condemnation across Europe and the Middle East today, with the European Union expressing profound shock and an international Muslim group calling it a war crime. Israeli Defense Minister Amir Peretz ordered an investigation and a halt to shelling in Gaza until its completion, the Prime Minister's office said. Some of the dead were killed in bed. As shells struck 7 houses, others rushed outside, finding no safety. 13 members of one extended family were killed, and the dead included 7 children and 4 women, residents and the Palestinian Health Ministry said. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas described the killings as a horrible and ugly massacre and told a news conference that while he condemned rocket attacks on Israel, they didn't justify such harsh military action. Are you cracking them damn knuckles again?
No, I'm
Knuckles Rodriguez on the other end.
I'm sorting a big stack of faxes I'm going to send you.
A big stack?
Yeah, well, the machine had run out of paper.
Yeah.
So as soon as I put the paper back in, a whole bunch of them spewed out. And so here
no. Anything interesting, worthwhile?
No, nothing, not a one of them. There's a couple things here. Yeah, I'm using.
Informative.
I'll let you sift them out during the
educational,
break.
Provocative,
maybe
hysterically funny.
Maybe a couple.
No. Anyway, so that's what's going on with the Getskis again there in the Middle East. The Jews and the Arabs and the Arabs and the Jews and the ragheads and the whatever. Just goes on. You know, most people, just like the thing with the election yesterday, I know there are a lot of pissed off people, and we had a big turnout, but most people, they just want to live their lives. Just leave me alone and don't kill anybody. That's all. Just leave us all alone, for Christ's sakes. Throw us a few bucks, few bones, some ice cream. Oh, and speaking of that, National Deli proudly presents the first annual Big Dog Eating Contest at Jackson's Ice Cream on November 18th at 8 p.m., featuring foot-long premium all-beef Big Dogs, National Deli. So they're bringing some of them wieners Friday and whole tubs and tubs of that great Jackson's ice cream, which, like you said, you need like a Luffin cup, and nevertheless you'll eat it.
I will.
He don't need it, but he'll eat it. Like me.
2 tubs of it.
Like me. I'm a tub. Not like the humper, though, but, who the hell am I to talk? I'm as fat as a cow, and I'm sitting here. Well, I'm not like, picking on him. I just wish he'd lose an ounce. Lose a little something. Okay, here's the first of these great faxes coming through. Oh, and that thing is like puking out, although I don't have to worry about running out of paper. Gary says, in regard to hacking democracy is his subject. Gary says, I'm a loyal listener who's followed you for years. I've never called but faxed from time to time. You're the best. Happy belated birthday, and surely don't retire. I'm never retiring, Gary. I need the cash to leave to a bunch of... I'm sure you've seen this before, but I was channel surfing after following election results when I came across hacking democracy. Like most people, I never realized the corruption and underhandedness that goes on in elections. While watching Man of the Year with Robin Williams, I realized it was out there, but until I saw hacking democracy, did it hit home in the elections of 2000 and 2004, were stolen right under our noses. I've been telling you that for 4 years, Gary. We need to wake up and not let these electronic companies take the elections out of the hands of the electorate. It's easy pickings for those who have the money and the desire to steal elections. That's what Gary says. Good point, Gary. And cut the crap. Well, what are you sending me here, Mon? What are you sending me?
A stack of crap. It'll be good reading during the break. Save it during the break and sift through it.
Jesus,
couple
God.
stories, comments from your loving audience, Louise.
This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
America loves to watch boobs and butts and boinking.
Absolutely. I supported Bush after that tragic day, and to my surprise, disgust and shame, he let the sorties in Bin Laden get away, and shifted the blame to Saddam Hussein. We're occupying Iraq. They're not the ones who attack. What's going on with this crap? We're occupying Iraq. Defense contractors are having fun as we spread freedom to the point of a gun. The blood money profits have only just begun for KBR, GE, and Halliburton. Needlessly sending our kids to die. And the drooling mugwumps still support this guy. An advanced stage of syphilis must be the reason why they believe George Bush is Jesus Christ. We're occupying Iraq. Hey, how about that? They're not the ones who attack. What's going on with this crap? We're occupying Iraq. Boy, George, why do you take so many vacations?
It's hard work. It's hard work. Everybody knows it's hard work. We've done a lot of hard work. I see on the TV screens how hard it is. Yeah,
he's going to be holding a press conference at 1 o'clock today, or some kind of a speech, or something like, oh, yeah, and we lost, and let me shake your hand, and whatever. Here's a letter to the editor and the Miami Herald that somebody faxed me. These 80,000 faxes you just sent. I'll go through every single one of them, by the way. All these faxes.
That's good. Well, that's about half of the ones that came in.
Really?
Yeah, I threw the other half away.
Well, when the hell did these come in? All since yesterday?
No, like right now, in the past half hour, or however long it was since the machine was out of paper.
Holy moly, rat man. Anyway, Jeff Haller in Miami writes to the Herald. He says, Ted Haggard has been forced to expose publicly something that many people would consider personal. I think most people, homosexual or heterosexual, pity him and his family and sympathize with their struggle. But do we really think that Haggard is alone? Religion has encouraged people to lie to themselves and others about their sexuality from the time they were children. Somehow it seems depressing that someone such as Haggard, who has undoubtedly done a lot of good in his life, has had to come to this before he was able to honestly confront himself. There's only sadness here, writes Jeff. He didn't confront anything. The fact is that he was outed by this hustler, and, and that's what it boiled down to. Plus the hustler had the tapes. Yeah, I feel sorry, all right. I feel sorry for all the suckers that keep subsidizing these phony balonies, all these hucksters, these peddlers of bullcrap. But nevertheless, Joan Fleischman in the Herald writes, oh, she's still alive, huh, Joni? G-string Fridays in a Mount Sinai Medical Center operating room, question mark? Sherry Hayes and Sharita Robinson, student interns at Sinai from Berry University's cardiovascular perfusion program, say heart surgeon Dr. Rogerio Carrillo tried to coax them to drop their scrubs and show their G-strings. According to a Dade County lawsuit, perfusionists help to run heart-lung machines.
You can get sued for that now?
Hayes 35 says Carrillo prodded women in the OR to show their undies during an October 3rd bypass surgery. Hayes wrote down her observations of this unprofessional conduct in her clinical observation report and told her Berry instructor, says the lawsuit filed by attorney Scott Barron. Robinson 27 says Carrillo badgered her. I wonder if he's kin to Leo Carrillo, the Cisco Kid. Wasn't he the Cisco Kid, or was Leo Carrillo his sidekick?
Are you talking about sports again?
The Cisco Kid, what is wrong with you, man? You never saw the Pancho and Cisco on TV?
No.
Get out of here. You don't know from the Cisco Kid?
I know the song Cisco Kid by War.
Robinson 27 says Carrillo badgered her into showing him her panties during a June 04 surgery. Carrillo pulled down his pants and continued to tell Robinson until she finally gave in. Robinson also says perfusionist Pedro Tagias made vulgar and lewd propositions and once attempted to pull her panties down for Carrillo. G-String Fridays. Now, you're full of crap because we've talked about the Cisco Kid many times in the past. I think...
I've heard the name, of course, as
get out of here.
But I've never seen
Google
any
it.
Cisco Kid.
Google it.
Why?
Because you'll see it. You'll see the pictures and say, oh, yeah, there's Cisco and Pancho and whatever. Believe me. Trust me. You Google it and you'll be all over it like Stink on Greg. G-String Fridays continued into 2005 with Carrillo saying, come on, ladies, you know what day it is. The string competition, Hayes alleges. She refused to go along and was reprimanded on several of her grade sheet reports. Carrillo, 48, says he doesn't remember the women or G-String Fridays, but it's routine to try to de-stress operating room personnel, he says. De-stress rhymes with undress. We do so many jokes in the OR, we tease in the OR for relaxation. The doc does recall competition of the color of scrubs. Perhaps the students misinterpreted. Or there may be some people disgruntled with their grade, although he doesn't evaluate those students. Both of them graduated May 05. Robinson now works in a pharmaceutical company lab. Hayes moved upstate, says co-counsel Anthony Russo, Jr. Mount Sinai spokeswoman Kathleen Dorkowski says the hospital learned of some inappropriate behavior last year and took immediate and deliberate action. We have addressed this issue with Dr. Carrillo and stopped it. Our culture is one of caring and respect, and we don't condone anything that doesn't support these values, she be saying Kathleen, the Dorkowski. Berry spokesman Mike Lederman says the university is not aware of the suit. Circuit Judge Jose Rodriguez is the case. Oh, boy. One of your people, no doubt, although it ends in an S.
Sure, that's Daddy's name. Oh, it ends with an S.
With an S.
Oh, Baker.
1,338 votes on the poll, and we got to get to what, 1,400? Oh, my God. We should have probably aimed for 15, wouldn't you think, Josh? 15, old bean?
I'll do it.
No, 14. 14 sounds good. Let's not overshoot, you know what I'm saying? Let's not shoot for the sky. We'd like if the Democrats wanted to win every election yesterday. We'd been just looking for a little bit too much. They should be real satisfied with what they got, especially with what they're offering, wouldn't you think? Yes.
Yes.
What are they offering? Oh, speaking of Democrats, son of Senator Bill Nelson.
Son of Sam?
Son of Senator Bill Nelson pepper sprayed and arrested in Orlando. Dad gets reelected. Son gets drunk, allegedly. Son picks fight with cops, allegedly. That's why Orlando police say U.S. Senator Bill Nelson's namesake, Charles William Nelson. I wonder if he's kin to Charles Nelson Riley. Spent the wee hours of election night in the Orange County Jail. The senator's 30-year-old son was charged earlier today with disorderly intoxication, pushing a police officer and resisting arrest in downtown Orlando. Police doused him with pepper spray before they could handcuff him. The fracas began about 2:45 a.m. outside the Embassy Suites Hotel on Pine Street, where Senator Nelson held his victory party after defeating Republican challenger Katherine Harris by a margin of 60 to 38. Oh, very nice, Katherine. Tight one. And the election, too. There was a report of a fight when police arrived. The younger Nelson's companion, Kimberly Baxter, appeared to be passed out and slumped over on the corner of Pine Street and Magnolia Avenue. It was apparent that the defendant, Charles William Nelson, was not capable of making an informed decision concerning Ms. Baxter's medical condition, the officer wrote, describing Nelson as reeking of booze, slurring his speech, unable to stand upright. Well, he's celebrating Daddy's win, ain't it?
Sure.
If it's good enough for Jebby and his family, it's good enough for the Nelson clan. who quite frankly are very boring anyway. When the officer radioed headquarters for an ambulance, the senator's son tried to pick up and then drag Baxter's body across the sidewalk into the hotel. He was trying to schlep her into the hotel. Told by the officer to put Baxter down, the senator's son dropped her on the sidewalk. Her head came within about 2 inches of striking the middle base of a traffic control signal. The officer then told the senator's son to leave the area. Charles William Nelson responded, the report said, by shoving the officer and telling him, "No, you need to leave." In the moments that followed, the police officer performed a tactic on the defendant commonly known as a face plant, in which the 200-pound, 5'9" suspect was forced to the ground, the report shows. However, the senator's son rolled on his back, continued fighting the officer, while a crowd gathered and began shouting. "I called for emergency assistance," the officer wrote, then deployed 2 to 3 second burst of pepper spray to his face. The defendant rolled over on his stomach and I handcuffed him. Pepper spray. I wonder if it was Claude pepper spray.
It burns.
Baxter's condition could not be learned this morning. The senator's son was released from jail after posting bail of $1,000 on the felony charge of battery on a law enforcement officer, $100 on a charge of disorderly intoxication, and $100 on resisting arrest without violence. Well, how do you like that? Bill Nelson, boy, real, very low-key, quiet, almost coma-inducing individual. Doesn't he seem like comatose to you?
He's very boring, very wooden.
Wow.
Wouldn't you know it?
But his son is making up for it, though. He's just a wild child. Just a little bit too much exuberance and celebration. 26 past noon at 560 WQAM. Mad Dog coming up at 2 o'clock. 1,342 votes on the poll. I think we got the 14 licked. We got 14 licked. That's what Miss Foley said.
Only 14?
He said, if it's 14, lick it.
Start licking.
Let me tell you about Dry Concepts, man.
I have no foreskin.
Well, congratulations. Get a life. Oh, I don't know what it is about them, their whiny little voices or their big noses, those goofy hats, tiny little schmeckles. I don't know, they just rub me the wrong way.
Anti-Semitism lives in every speech Hillary gives. It's in the news. Hillary hates Jews. Spewing hatred through the halls, busting people's mouths of balls. It's in the news. Hillary hates Jews. You won't catch her lighting a menorah. God, she must have a wonderful aura. When she speaks, I want to cry. She could use a good rabbi. It's in the news. Hillary hates Jews.
Psalm 32, boy, she kicked a big, fat, smelly ass in New York yesterday, man. She won by, she got almost 70% of the vote, I believe. And Georgia's still unimpressed.
Oh, no, I'm impressed. I'm scared. Very scared.
Be afraid.
I am.
Be afraid.
Bob Geiger writes, Senate results are the harshest slap at Bush, to which we say,
all right.
Good. Jane Hampshire says it best at Firedog Lake this morning as she weighs in with this gem. The most powerful woman in U.S. history, 2 words guaranteed to reduce any wingnut to a puddle of pee, Speaker Pelosi. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has a nice ring to it as well. And while the stunning Democratic takeover of the House of Representatives is absolutely huge...
Absolutely.
The biggest repudiation of George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Karl Rove, and their whole corrupt, sick agenda is what will be a glorious 51 to 49 Democratic majority in the Senate. Simply looking at nominations made by the executive branch illustrates the enormity of the filtering mechanism that the Senate is supposed to represent and how things will change now that Congress's upper chamber will no longer simply take everything coming out of the White House and allow it to pass like a hot knife through butter. The incredibly ill-advised appointment of John Bolton to be America's chief diplomat at the UN would have been killed quickly with a Democratic majority instead of being blocked by filibuster, which ultimately led to Bush to find Congress installing Bolton in a recess appointment. On the U.S. Supreme Court, Senior Associate Justice John Paul Stevens is 86, raising the likelihood that Bush, assuming he's not impeached, would be in a position of appointing yet another ultra-conservative judge to replace the liberal-leaning Stevens. How's that for a thought to make you lose your lunch? With Democrats controlling the Senate Judiciary Committee and the progress of any Supreme Court nominee to the floor of the Senate, and 51 Democrats awaiting any Bush pick if he or she should reach a full vote, Bush will be neutered in any attempt to push the High Court even farther to the right. This also applies to federal judges, which receive a fraction as much attention as the Supreme Court nominees, but also directly impact the quality and character of the American legal system. Democrats will also control committees, which shines a huge spotlight on the Senate Intelligence Committee, in particular, which, with the exception of Democrat stalwart Russ Feingold of Wisconsin, raising hell on a regular basis, has spent the majority of the last 2 years asleep at the switch and turning a blind eye to Bush and Cheney doing Constitution-busting things like spying on Americans without required warrants. With sleepy Pat Roberts at the helm, the Intelligence Committee has decided that an overwhelming body of evidence that Americans were lied into the Iraq War wasn't worth even talking about, and that taking seriously the recommendations of the 9/11 Commission might interfere with the committee members' daily golf date at the Neocon Country Club. With Democratic wins by Jim Webb and John Tester in Virginia and Montana, and watch for the GOP election stealing mechanism to kick into high gear on those victories, the Senate can awaken from its long Republican slumber and actually begin paying attention to the nonsense coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Wow, advice and consent, oversight, how are those for some wild concepts, it says. Wild concepts, baby, especially in the area of the neo-fascists. 1366 on the pool. I think we ought to shoot for 15. Don't you?
You can do it.
Let's shoot for 15 minutes. Chuck in West Palm says, happy birthday. Well, thank you, Chuck. Better late than never. I'm one of the thousands who listen to you in their cars and never get counted. It says, oops, a new survey topic. That is a good topic. You listen in the car and never get counted on your, well, what does that mean? I mean, if you get a diary, if you're listening in the car, you can still write that down. I don't know what you mean, Chuck, but thanks for listening. He says, I met a WW2 veteran yesterday who has 2 Purple Hearts. He told me we went to the vet hospital in West Palm Beach. They have 2 floors blocked off with Iraq patients. As you said, it is absolutely
unbelievable
and acceptable. Okay, thanks, Chuck. Get your head on straight. Get it all straightened out. Josie Lambeat's page 2 in the Palm Beach Post. Boy, Josie's still up there in Palm Beach, huh? Is he still writing stuff for the Inquirer or the tabloids, whatever?
So it would seem.
Whatever happened to Josie Lambe? How come Josie Lambe wasn't all over the Miss Foley Chris thing? Teacher told about gay quiz back in closet, writes Josie Lambe on his page 2 in the Palm Beach Post today. He says, just what is it they're teaching in North Palm Beach has stayed the Benjamin School these days. A well-respected educator at the private institution was given the old don't do it again after handling his 9 homeroom students, a quiz about homosexuality that included this question. How do you know that you're truly heterosexual if you never had a gay experience?
That's what you gay people always say.
Yeah, how do you know you won't like it if you don't try it? Like sushi, you know. I know.
What?
I don't want no sushi.
That's fine. I don't want
biology
no
teacher and diversity, just like I don't want no heterosexual sex, okay? Biology teacher and diversity director Maurice Dolberry gave the quiz to juniors, 8 boys and a girl, during a discussion about sexual diversity. I'm told that Dolberry got the idea in the test format at a recent diversity conference in Minnesota, says Josie. Also on the 12-question essay quiz, how can you give a truly satisfying relationship with someone of the opposite sex? How can you have a truly satisfying relationship with someone of the opposite sex given all the obvious physical and emotional differences? And is it possible that you are heterosexual because you fear the same sex? Sounds like a little leading on here to me.
Quite.
Sounds like a Miss Foley kind of exam. This was a mistake, said head of school Eugene Gross, and it won't happen again. I found out about you are heterosexual because you fear the same sex. Sounds like a little leading on here to me.
Quite.
Sounds like a Miss Foley kind of exam. This was a mistake, said head of school Eugene Gross, and it won't happen again. I found out about this through a complaint. None of us is perfect. I discussed this with Mr. Dolberry. He's a tremendous asset to this school and has my full support. A source at the school, which caters to North County and Palm Beach parents with enough dough to plunk down $17,000 for one high school year, said 2 of Dolberry's students brought up the quiz with another teacher who then went to Gross and said, Gross. School officials tried to get all test copies back, but one slipped past them. School officials tried to get all test copies back, but one slipped through their fingers. Benjamin teachers meet twice a week with their homeroom kids and discuss a wide range of topics from politics to dating to peer pressure to sports. Dolberry is also the school's wrestling coach. Dun, 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 dun. The quiz wasn't supposed to be graded. It wasn't an information-gathering exercise, the source said. It was designed to be self-reflexive and provocative.
You get an F.
We're grading you. I get an F on heterosexuality, and you get an F on the homo side. Its timing was partly because of the recent congressional page scandal and the announcement that disgraced former U.S. Representative Mark Foley is gay. Said Parent Advisory Board member Beth Kirstein, it's the first I've heard about this, but I'll look into it. It doesn't sound right. The school refused to make Dolberry available for an interview so as not to open him or his curriculum up to public criticism, a school spokeswoman said. Well, there you go. How do you know you're not gay if you don't give it a shot? If you've never done nothing. How do you know you're not straight if you don't give it a shot? Believe me, I know.
Yeah.
You know. You know what I'm saying?
We all know, just some people can't admit it.
That's right. Just like Father Ted there.
That's
right.
right.
We feel so sorry for him and his family in the congregants. You know?
Oh, yeah. Come and listen to a story about a preacher named Ted, accused of taking meth and having gay sex. And just when you thought he was a super righteous dude, out came some stories that sounded pretty crude. Bad things, that is. Gay escort, snorting meth. Well, the first thing you know, old Ted's a hypocrite. Banning gay love while he was loving it. They said beg forgiveness and drop to your knees, then cry, say you sinned, and ignore hypocrisy.
All right. The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
The cocket.
Take a deep breath and prepare to fill your lungs. Fill your lungs now. If you're not a white Republican, here's what we do to the Sunnis and Kurds and anybody else who's a dissenter.
Let's talk about.
Hop aboard and go waterboarding with me. We're condoning brutal torture now. Dump and drown now. Everybody hates the states world round. You better tell us what we want to hear, or else your friends and family will disappear.
It's legal now.
Hop aboard and go waterboarding with me. We'll counter that and pillage this because no one but us has the right to exist.
We murdered kids.
Hop aboard and go waterboarding with me.
Puff 47 at 560. There's nothing wrong with sending a guy for a little swim, right? That's what Dick Cheney says. Little swims, think or thwim. 1385 on our pool today. We're going to go for 1500. We can do it by 2 o'clock, and if we do, Mad Dog will be on at 2 o'clock, and if not, we'll put Geldy on. Yeah. That ought to be like, the voters ought to come pouring in. You know, I got to admit something to you, which I really don't have to, but I will anyway, because I'm too honest for my own good.
Okay.
Because I know that you're going to just rip me an ass, but that's good, because I need that on the food side.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I got my pants on, and I also had my shirt on here a moment ago, and I just went to the closet and hung that shirt.
Who was in there?
Huh? Oh, it was crowded. Charlie Crist was in there.
Yeah.
I said, it's okay, the coast is clear, Charlie, you won. He's still in there. And I took that shirt off that I put on, which is one of my favorite shirts, as a matter of fact. I like it a lot. But I can't wear it because I sat back down here with my shirt on, and it was too tight.
Oh, boy.
See? I didn't have to say that.
Listen, it happens to me, too. That's when I start cutting the crap, is when my clothes start to not fit.
So I just got me a looser, not as nice of a shirt, but nevertheless, it's who the hell cares anyway?
Fatter day shirt?
John in Louisiana says, I don't know if you brought this up, but Jew Lieberman has again screwed the pooch for the American people. He's the latest version of Ralph Nader. Because of Lieberman's penchant for voting with the Republican Party, the Democrats nominated Ned Lamont to run for Senate. Lieberman, who is Bernie Sanders of Vermont is an independent, but considered a Democrat in the caucus, and himself calls himself a socialist Democrat. So right now it looks 50-50 if Lieberman keeps voting with his head up his ass. Okay, what is that all about? Jeez, God. Woo! What a bunch of nonsense. Anyway, Chip writes, it would appear that whether you like it or not, and we like it, the American voting public, which would include not just a few Republicans, who are pissed off and fired up about not just the war, but the Republican propensity for corruption and destroying the Constitution of this great country of ours. They're pissed off and fired up. And we saw that. That's when you get a big turnout, when people are pissed off. Or, I would also imagine you might get a big turnout if people are, like, real happy, if they like what's going on, like with Bubba.
Yeah.
They like Bubba a lot. And he was there with his wife, your girlfriend, last night. But I don't want to mention that again. You get all upset.
Don't. I do.
It says, you can present all the Bush machine PowerPoints you like. The American voters have spoken, and we ain't done yet. The direction this country has taken for the last 12 years, where the House and Senate are just effing rubber stamp or stumbling block, depending on who is in office, will now come to order with a more partisan point of view. Not just a one-sided demo or red state point of view, but a more centrist governing body, willing to listen to the people when they scream about setting aside habeas corpus, one of the most defining parts of our great Constitution, so a dictator-type president can make unbelievable decisions without any checks and balances. Game over, says Chip. Game over.
Oh!
All right, Chip. Congratulations to you, sweetheart. He's all whipped up and fired up to a frenzy. He's squeezing himself. 1,391 votes on the poll, which means we'll be over 14 by the top of the hour. I think 15 is within our grasp. We can grasp it. We can grab it. Reach out and grasp the grab ring, or reach out and grab the best thing. I told you the other day, there's sometimes I'm sitting there at Woodbine and I have a feeling I'd like to reach out and grab the best thing, but better not do that. You ever have that feeling?
All the time.
I must be getting worse. I told you this a couple of weeks ago. As you get older, you get worse. Not, people think, as you get older, you lose your, all that horniness. No, it's worse.
Yeah, so far I haven't noticed any diminishment.
No, it's not at all. In fact, you see somebody really, really good walk by and just want to reach out and just grab the nearest, like, if they're wearing a nice jacket. Right. And you reach out and say, what's that made of? Can that be felt? Oh, there you go with that Mark Foley stuff again. Although I say it to myself quietly, because that's, probably a better idea. Here's a fax that says I was... well, that sounds like Dick Cheney now. I was listening to Matthews and Olbermann last night, and of course I saw this, and I'm not going to read it. About how I already told you about how he was grilling Howard Dean and trying to make him look like, and then he had Bill Fist on there, and he had his head up Bill's ass. Wow, it was pathetic. It was sad. But then that's Chris Matthews. He likes politics, politics. And his brother runs for office and all this other crap. He's a jerk. He's a real sad jerk, Chris Matthews. Keith Olbermann's all they got. And, of course, what's his name? Lester Holt, which you finally discovered.
Who's that? Oh, no, I remember.
Aren't you proud that you finally, after all this time, could be so...
And I've committed his face to memory.
He's good. He's a great broadcaster.
He's very well-spoken.
Yeah. He's got a great voice, and he's like human-looking, and he's good on TV and good on NBC radio and whatever. $13.95 on a poll. Come on, let's goose that thing over 1,400 before Rumsfeld starts talking.
Had Bob Woodward.
He's stepping down. How do you like that?
Of Watergate from Woodward and Bernstein.
Rumsfeld is stepping down. He's
talking
out.
About this tense relationship with the Secretary of Defense and a number of his leaders within the military, within the Pentagon, also with his commanders there on the ground in Iraq. And now, even with the president coming forward and a number of other military leaders still active in the military saying that they support the Secretary of Defense, the feeling was...
So that's coming up in 8 minutes. Bush is coming on, and see, here you thought it was much ado about nothing. They're under a lot of pressure, baby. A lot of pressure, so let's get Rummy, let's nail his ass, and long overdue, by the way. Speaking of horses' asses... UK scientists have applied for permission to create embryos by fusing human DNA with cow eggs. You see, if people weren't listening to the show, all the stuff that happens during the 4 hours that we're on every day, I mean, I realize it's got nothing to do with sports. But, how they'd have to wait till they came home from work or whatever to find out about Rumsfeld is out. He's out. Stepping down. Resigning. Not that he's being fired, you understand. He's resigning.
No, he's tired.
Just like George Tenet. He didn't get fired. He resigned for personal... Spend more time with his family. Hiding under the bed. UK scientists have applied for permission to create embryos by fusing human DNA with cow eggs. Oh, you're going to feel so bad next time you have a steak.
You want to watch?
No. Researchers from Newcastle University and King's College London have asked the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority for a 3-year license. Well, they could probably get one from the state of Florida Dry. All they got to do is email it, the application. They get a 6-year license in Florida. The hybrid human bovine embryos will be used for stem cell research and would not be allowed to develop for more than a few days. But critics say it's unethical and potentially dangerous. Liberal Democrat MP Dr. Evan Harris, a member of the Common Science Technology Select Committee, says if human benefit can be derived by perfecting therapeutic cloning techniques or from research into subsequently derived stem cells, then it would actually be immoral to prevent it just because of a yuck factor. Oh, there's a guy with a cow head.
Yuck.
There's a cow with a human head. There's a guy with an ass like a cow. Stem cell research is one of the most promising areas of medical science. Of course, stem cells are the body's master cells, and 5-day-old embryos are packed with them, each with the potential to turn into any tissue in the body. It is this ability which scientists want to harness to treat diseases like Parkinson's disease, strokes, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease. To do that, they need to have access to thousands of embryos for research. The problem is that human eggs for research are in short supply, and to obtain them, women have to undergo surgery. That's why scientists want to use cow's eggs as a substitute. They would insert human DNA into a cow's egg, which has had its genetic material removed, and then create an embryo by the same technique that produced Dolly the sheep. Oh, wouldn't that be something? Oh, hi, Dolly.
Hello, Dolly.
The resulting embryo would be a 99.9% human thing. The only bovine element would be DNA outside the nucleus of the cell. In other words, still look human, might have a tail, though.
Mm-hmm.
It would, though, technically be a chimera.
Chimera.
A mixing of two distinct species into one. Chimera?
Or you can say that, what you said.
Well, I mean, I can say it. I don't want to say it illiterate. I butcher enough words as it is.
I've heard it said every way that it could
Chimera?
possibly
I never heard the word in my life.
Let's say chimera.
Chimera?
Chimera.
I'm going to Google it during the break. You don't know your ass from my tail. The aim would be to extract stem cells from the embryo when it's 6 days old before destroying it. The quality and viability of stem cells would then be checked to see if the technique had worked. Oh, how about Jay and the Techniques and Humpkin Pie? What's that song? Peaches, apples, peaches, pumpkin pie.
Pears,
Yeah, you know, Jay and the Techniques. Also on an orange label. The scientists also plan to examine the way the cells are reprogrammed after fusion. Oh, that was quick.
That's what she said.
Apples, peaches, and humpkin pie, baby.
That's right.
The scientists also plan to examine the way the cells are reprogrammed after fusion to see if there are useful processes they could replicate in the laboratory. A chimera. Lead researcher Dr. Lyle Armstrong said, if we can learn from the egg how to make embryonic stem cells without having to use an animal egg at all, then someday we may be able to cure diseases like Parkinson's or, better still, some of the age-related diseases which are creating such a burden on society. Dr. Stephen Minger from King's College London said, the current state of the technology is such that literally hundreds of human eggs from young women will be required to generate a single human embryonic stem cell line. Therefore, we consider it more appropriate to use non-human eggs from livestock as a surrogate. We feel that the development of disease-specific human embryonic stem cell lines from individuals suffering from genetic forms of neurodegenerative disorders will stimulate both basic research and the development of new medicines to treat these horrific brain diseases. Wow. Donnie Rumsfeld, you're out, baby. You've had it.
Him for the remainder of his term. And White House officials, senior administration officials, very consistently have said they believed that the president would see this as some sort of signal of failure, not only internationally to allies overseas, but also to the American people.
Well, let's say the same thing to Rumsfeld that we said to Clay Shaw last night.
Bye. Hello, this is Arnold. This is not a tumor. It's the 1 to 2 hour.
Sports Radio 560, QAM.
So, that was quite a game last weekend.
Yeah, we'll give 100%. And if we keep the momentum, we may even win the next one.
That would be nice to win a game once in a while. Then we'll be blessed down here, right?
Yeah, then we will be blessed.
You know, there was a time in radio when sports was relegated to just a minute or so of the 5 or 6 o'clock news. You know, like the weather report.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little younger than you, so I don't really...
Well, that was back in the day when radio stations were formatted to entertain an audience.
I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah, and neither do we.
Yeah.
But in terms of sports, I mean, now we're blessed.
Yes, very blessed.
So, how's the kids?
I ain't got no kids that I'm aware of.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
If I do, the bitches haven't told me.
Hey, listen, I gotta use the toilet for a minute. You mind holding on?
No, not at all.
Thanks. You're what we call in the business a holdover. Yeah, I guess holdover. So you won't mind if I...
go right ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of the Neil Rogers Show after part 2 of our Sport Homo Rejoin on 560 QAM.
Still there?
Yeah.
You know, outside of sports, there's really nothing else going on.
Yeah, I mean, no. Nothing else exists outside our box.
I mean, nothing else should be of any concern.
Yeah.
It's comfy here inside our little box.
Yeah, it is. But I have to admit, I still have my Sarah Paulson poster.
Well, that's just a girl.
Actually, she's an old white lady now.
We really can't talk about that.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah. So, what'd you eat this morning?
I just had me a cup of coffee.
Oh, how do you like your coffee?
Little sugar, some cream.
Yeah, got a little cream in your coffee, huh? That's a sports laugh.
Old laugh, that's the way we laugh. From the heart.
Yeah. I should get this.
Sure, go ahead.
Hold on a second, okay?
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
We'll be back with more of the Neil Rogers Show after Part 3 of our Sport Homo Rejoin on Sport Ho Radio 560 QAM.
Okay. Yeah, okay. No problem, Coach. Thanks. Bye. Still there?
Yeah.
That was the coach.
Oh, okay.
So tell me something.
Yeah.
When you say the word coach, you just can't say coach, right?
Right.
Yeah, we say coach. That's dignity and reverence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coach.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Cool.
You're like some gay code to deify the position.
Yeah, that's right.
Because life's all about the game, right?
It's all in the game.
I want to kiss
Yeah.
your lips.
Yeah. And I want to caress your fingertips.
Yeah. And our hearts will fly away.
It's all in the game.
La 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 la.
Oh, where's Tommy Edwards when we need him? Oh, we're back already, huh? That was typical of those rejoins. It's only 106. Yeah, we're not too happy about those long rejoins, Clarence. And there's Tommy Edwards. It's all in the game. Medley of his smash. He had a couple of other marginal,
Did he?
I think. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to look at that heavy book again. Can't do it. So anyway, Rummy is stepping down.
Are expected to provide, and the group is expected to provide recommendations on a way forward.
There he is, the great conciliator now. All of a sudden, he's extending his land of
early
friendship.
next week. The election has changed many things in Washington, but it has not changed my fundamental responsibility.
No, you're still a bozo and dangerous.
Pillage, plunder, thief.
Right, that's correct. South Dakota voters yesterday firmly rejected a law banning nearly all abortions, but supporters of the measure vow to continue pushing to further restrict abortion in the state. With 91% of the state's precincts reporting 55% oppose the abortion ban, while 45% be supporting it. Yesterday's vote ended a heated campaign that had drawn extensive national attention while dividing the state's medical and religious communities, campaign spending trying to sway voters toward nearly $4 million. How many people live in South Dakota? About 10?
About 30, man.
God.
They got them Badlands.
The South Dakota Campaign for Healthy Families, the group that forced the measure on the ballot, called the bill's defeat a victory for reproductive rights. I think most importantly, it sends a strong message to our legislature, said Kate Luby, South Dakota State Director of Planned Parenthood. South Dakotans have had enough abortion legislation. Enough already, okay? Enough. That's what she said, as they say in China. 1,425 votes. I think we got one a hell of a shot to get to 15.
You can do it. The former director of the CIA and of Texas A&M University. If confirmed by the Senate, Bob will bring more than 25 years of national security experience and a stellar reputation as an effective leader with sound judgment.
Who's that? Buffalo Bob is going to be Rumsfeld's
He served
replacement?
6 presidents from both political parties and rose from an entry-level employee in the CIA to become the director of Central Intelligence. During his service at the CIA and at the National Security...
It says Rumsfeld and I agreed it was time for a change. In other words, hey, Rummy, you're fired.
Help him meet the challenges and opportunities our country faces during the next 2 years.
Yeah.
He is serving as a member of the Baker-Hamilton Commission. He's a steady, solid leader who can help make the necessary adjustments in our approach to meet our current challenges. I will have more to say about Secretary Rumsfeld and Bob Gates later today.
Bob Gates. Oh, there you go. Bob Gates. I wonder if he's kin to Bill Gates. I'm sure he's not. Chimera. Ballot measures to ban same-sex marriage were winning in 7 of 8 states late yesterday, with voters in Arizona poised to be the first in the nation to turn down such a measure. Did you know that?
No.
The measures all constitutional amendments to limit marriage to heterosexuals and ban domestic partnerships passed in Virginia, South Carolina, and Tennessee, and were winning in Colorado, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Idaho. A proposal to create domestic partnerships in Colorado appeared headed to defeat with just 45% of the vote, when more than half the state's precincts had reported the results. Boy, this stuff is sure coming awfully slow. It's for crying out loud. Oh, that's right. That's out west. The votes came at the end of a campaign season marked by important developments in the arenas of same-sex marriage and gay politics. On October 25, well, we know about Ted Haggard and about New Jersey, and gay rights advocates called the apparent victory in Arizona, where a ban was trailing 48 to 52%, with 95% of the precincts reporting a big win. Symbolically, it's as important as the Massachusetts marriage decision, said Joe Solomonesi, president of the Human Rights Campaign, a national gay rights group. Well, there you go. Maybe Miss Chris can go to Arizona and marry his boyfriend. Or somebody. Just Mary. Or Barry. Well, I just can't wait for you to get this movie. I think you're going to be smitten with Match Point.
Can't wait.
Well, that's one of the fine flicks I've seen in a long time. That's the way I'd be feeling about it.
I'm all stoked.
Are you?
Yep.
See, the worst thing that'll happen now is you'll get it and then you'll say, oh, this, it was okay.
Hey, even The Island, which sucked to high heaven, wasn't so bad just because Scarlett was running around in it.
Oh, look at this, The People versus Larry Flynn. I wonder how many 4-letter words are going to be in this movie. Oh, luckily it's not coming through. What the hell was that? Oh, you're getting it ready?
Yeah.
There's The Poltergeist, The Legacy. Well, I'm just looking just in case to see if that's on again right now, because it was on last night again, Match Point. But nevertheless, we don't want to get sidetracked here. Okay, we had enough dilly-dallying with that QM rejoin bit. I think what we ought to do is,
which
after
I thought was
break,
very funny, by the way.
It is great. And I think what we ought to do is, after every break, we'll play that instead of the rejoin.
It'll save time.
Yeah, 4 minutes every time. Here's a fax from Fred. I apologize if I've already mentioned this. Somebody had missed it. If not, then please check out the shenanigans going on here in Florida. And it's in Catherine Harris's old district, the 13th. Can you believe 11,000 less people voted for their congressional seat than for the governor or senator? That's how the voting turned out. Unbelievable, said Fred. Always here. Well, and then here's the article about it. It says a recount battle is brewing fittingly in Catherine Harris's old seat, where a voting shortfall on buggy electronic voting machines is calling election results into doubt. Republican Vern Buchanan was clinging to a 368-vote edge over Democrat Christine Jennings for the 13th congressional district early this morning. Although Buchanan declared victory just before 1 o'clock in the morning, the razor-thin margin kept Jennings from conceding defeat and will generate an automatic recount. The results were loaded with controversies. Nearly 13% of all ballots cast in Sarasota didn't include any choice for Congress. That difference in scattered reports of difficulty finding the race on Sarasota's touchscreen ballots raised concerns about undervotes in the race. Supervisor of Elections Kathy Dent couldn't explain why 8,000 to 10,000 fewer people voted in the congressional race than other high-profile races for governor, attorney general, U.S. Senate, but she said nothing mechanical went wrong with the country's $4.7 million touchscreen voting machine system. Throughout the day, voters complained that touchscreen voting machines were not registering votes for Jennings properly. Jennings' campaign held a midday press conference to warn the problem was widespread. Already, Democrats were calling in lawyers from the Democratic National Committee to weigh in on the potential voting issues. In Sarasota County, with all but one precinct reporting, 87,797 people voted for Bill Nelson, Catherine Harris, or another candidate for U.S. Senate. In the governor's race between Kristen Davis, 87,678 county residents voted. Only 76,549 voted for Jennings or Buchanan. In comparison, about 3,000 more people voted in the Sarasota Public Hospital Board election. But a similar undervote was now recorded in other counties that voted in District 13 race. Well, there you go. If Catherine Harris had her fine finger in it, you know there was some hanky-spanky. Not enough to make her race with Bill Nelson even remotely close, but nevertheless. Right?
Absolutely.
Anywhere that bitch is involved, you know it's going to be some real hanky-spanky, man. It's good to see her go down, so to speak. 1,429 votes on the poll. We need 71 votes in 47 minutes. That's less than 2 a minute. We can do it.
You know, we're constantly changing tactics.
Yeah, we noticed that. You know what they're going to do now?
What?
No, I mean, actually, they have been doing it for a long time, but they're going to do it a little more blatantly, like in every neighborhood from coast to coast, because they're not too happy with the results of last night's election. Kill some people.
That's right.
Speaking of that, you know, an auto accident's a traumatic experience. Just ask Vern Troyer.
Know that the Lord even loves Neil Rogers.
Rumsfeld, do we have to give you a facelift? Are your days over? Because they made the foot Iraqi strip. Rumsfeld, you still have to explain what they did. They thought it was funny to make a naked human pyramid. I think it's kind of wacky what they did to those Iraqis. Now they're telling you just how we feel. We expect much better from our boys. They made the prisoners break up by putting them in makeup. Don't you want someone to tell you again? It's a bad way. Rumsfeld, we're so tired of watching these news clips. Rumsfeld, we might have to give you a pink slip. Rumsfeld, give you a pink slip. Rumsfeld, give you a pink slip.
Bye-bye, crummy rummy. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, architect of the unpopular war in Iraq, intends to resign after 6 stormy years at the Pentagon. Officials say Robert Gates, former head of the CIA, will replace Rummy.
Find common ground.
The development occurred one day after congressional elections, President Bush announced Rummy's departure, and Gates' nomination at his news conference is going on right now, but you sure don't want to hear bozo. Yeah. 1,437 votes on the poll today. We're going to make 1,500 by the top of the hour. I'll damn well want to know why. We'll be getting reports and all kinds of mudslinging and stuff if we don't get to 1,500. 14:39. We need 61 in 40 minutes. That should be 1.5 a minute. So just look at your watch and you give a half a vote every other minute. Which of these do you care about the most? My income, 673. Almost half, 46.7% income. Money, money, money. Give me the money, honey. My sex life, 302. My health, 172. I hate this pool, 103, 7.1%. Kind of a modest. That's not too bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
Politics, 58. My faith, 50. My faith in the Lord. My faith in...
Oh, God!
Politics, 58. My faith, 50. The National Football League, 50. See, my faith in the NFL, they can't separate. Because the NFL is more than a sport. It's a religion. Do you understand that, George? Do you get it?
Oh, I do. I do now.
And Iraq 31. You better get it. You better get with the program or you'll never be on that morning show with Kenny and Bo. 1443. So who told you this morning that Kenny is pissed off because they won't let him do whatever he wants?
Oh, I didn't say that he was pissed off.
I know. I just made that up. Will you just relax?
No.
Just like you probably made up the whole story anyway.
Yeah, well, I did.
It's your style. Now, who was the mole? Who was in the doorway? Was it Robert?
I'm not telling.
It was the Beast. I know damn well it was the Beast.
It was Greg.
Too late. You already admitted it was the Beast.
No, I didn't.
I thought the Beast wasn't on that show anymore.
He's not.
So he wasn't even there this morning?
No.
Oh, then I know for sure who it is.
Yeah.
He's got a mouth like a toilet and a brain to match. And a personality to match, too. A real Schmitty personality. I know you want to pacify everybody. You're there and I'm here, so you got to keep everybody.
Well, if I open up a mouth, people stop telling me stuff, and then where would we be?
Oh, get out of here! That's what they want. They tell you the stuff because they know you'll tell it to me, and I'll put it on the air.
Yeah, but they don't want to. They don't want to own it. You know what I mean?
Well, how about if they buy it? I think he ought to buy it.
They could rent it.
Daniel Ortega wins. Civilization as we know ends. Writes Weldon Berger. I wonder if he's kin to Bob Berger. Former Sandinista leader Daniel Ortega appears to have won the Nicaraguan presidential elections, and the U.S. isn't happy. Why? Who the hell knows? And who knows why exactly the U.S. feels simultaneously free to meddle in south of the border elections and to pout when those countries resent us for doing so? These are rhetorical questions. Ortega first came to power in 1979 after ousting Anastasio Somoza, the U.S.-backed dictator whose family had run Nicaragua since the mid-1930s. He was part of a ruling junta till 1985 when he was elected president. In 1990, he lost the presidency to a former junta colleague, Violeta Chamorro. During the entire tenure of his leadership, the Reagan administration funded and armed a group of homicidal drug smugglers known as the Contras, and likened by Reagan to the founding fathers of the U.S., who were apparently in Reagan's mind also a bunch of swamp, rat, dope-dealing thugs working to found a country that had been established 100 years earlier, but that's another story. His history includes rather solid allegations of corruption, allegations of sexual abuse from his stepdaughter, and 2 more failed presidential bids, which sounds to me a lot like a good handful or more of Republican congressional figures. He's also a former Marxist, which narrows the similarities considerably, but perhaps not entirely. Regardless, it's something of a mystery why a probably corrupt, possibly abusive, and certainly power-hungry politician in a small and entirely powerless country should arouse this degree of angst among his like-minded brethren to the north. But arouse it he does. And not only among conservative. Steve Clemens, a foreign policy wonk at the post-partisan New American Foundation and proprietor of the widely read Washington Note, is of something of a tizzy about Ortega's success and the waning U.S. influence in Central America, South America, and around the globe. He writes, when I was in Germany recently, I spoke before the FDP Foreign Policy Parliamentary Group chaired by Werner Hoyer in the Bundestag. One of Hoyer's chief concerns has been Nicaragua in this election, and he's down there now attempting to support the other guy. But what Hoyer and many others who have watched these elections have reported is that America is not only weaker in the eyes of Latin American citizens, but that citizens are motivated to actually help roll back American power. Like foreskin, roll it back. As one German politician told me, it's remarkable that Ortega is bouncing back without a superpower sponsor competing with America. That's what's troubling. The opposition to American interest is winning in many places, and there's no global rival. When the mystique of American power was wrecked in Iraq and President Bush showed our military and financial limits, allies stopped counting on us much, and enemies have moved their agendas forward. I'm picking on Clemens here, it says, because he's elected candidate for a second or third tier State Department position in the next Democratic administration, and he's as blinkered as a blind mule on a dark night. Oh, I like that expression, as blinkered as a blind mule on a dark night. That's great. At some point, we'll look at the insipid horror in detail, but for now, let's focus on the bewildered injury of a man who can't understand why, after more than a century of nonstop U.S. meddling in South and Central America, often including support for the most barbarous regimes in the hemisphere, many citizens there are sick of us. They're tired of us already. And it goes on. It's on our website. It goes on with a long song and dance about Daniel Ortega, which I thought he played for the Cubs.
So does Secretary Rumsfeld.
Yeah, he plays for the Cubs. Might as well. He ain't got nothing else to do, and they're a bunch of losers anyhow. 1456. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Dessert?
Cute.
It's a good movie. And I bet you nobody has seen that, you and me. Did Josh see Pin?
I still got it.
Did you watch Pin?
I don't think so.
About the mannequin?
I'll bring it.
No.
I'll bring it.
Now, I don't know. Would you think that movie is too slow for Josh?
Oh, I don't know. It seems fine. It seems up his alley. It's, got weirdness.
Yeah, I think that's why you ought to watch it, up his alley. Now, the fact of the matter is, it's kind of interesting, because he, like Tristan and Isolde, never said anything about it being slow.
Well, maybe he just said that because he didn't want you to rip him.
I love when you guys try to diagram out my movie taste.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
We're not diagramming anything. We're just analyzing it. And it seems to me that you like Tristan and Isolde. You're the one that talked me into watching it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh, why'd you do that? Why'd you recommend
said, man, that James Franco is really hot in that movie.
That's what I said.
Yeah. And now I will say this. He did look better in that movie than the other ones, but as movies go, I like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 a lot better.
Yeah, well, they didn't drag like Tristan and Isolde seems to be so far.
Now, did you think it dragged, Josh?
Yeah.
It was a little bit slow. See, I didn't think it was slow because it took me half the movie trying to figure out who was slicing up whom, because they had all the armor on.
Right. Well, that was all fine when it started out just fine and they were fighting and everything, and then it got bogged down in the bog somewhere.
Oh. I bet you if Scarlett Johansson would have been in it, you wouldn't have gotten bogged down at all. 14:59 in the poll. We got 41 we need in 33 minutes. I think it's a given. We're tabulating the votes. Those who may think that the election's over, and of course they're having the recount in Virginia. It's not happening yet, but they will, because that Makakowicz just ain't going to throw in the towel.
The
ladies and gentlemen.
135, I sure do my best. We got 1,472 votes on the poll. We need 28 for 1,500. I bet you neither one of you guys thought we'd get to 15 today. You thought I was dreaming.
Huh? I thought I was hallucinating. I thought I didn't care, but nevertheless.
You can do it!
Josh cares. He cares, not a lot. He cares more than you do, which is very little. But even just like a little bit.
But just enough.
Yeah. He cares enough to send his very best. Anyway, recapping, let's see if we got like any new votes, if they counted like 3 or 4 more votes. Senator George Allen's political career hung by a thread today as Democrat Jim Webb claimed victory, though fewer than 8,000 votes separated the two, and a recount is virtually certain. The votes are in and we won, Webb said, though there were still votes to count. With 99% of precincts reporting Webb had 1,170,564 votes, or 49.6%. To Allen, Makakowitz's 1,162,717, or 49.3%, a difference of 0.3%. A final count, including all absentee ballots, is expected later today. Makakowicz is hanging by a thread. There are no automatic recounts in Virginia, but state law allows a candidate who finishes a half percentage point or less behind to request a recount paid for by state and local governments. With a margin greater than less than 1 percentage point, the trailing candidate can still seek a recount, but has to pay the cost if the results are unchanged. It's like it's like a challenge in a football game in the NFL. You lose your timeout. Either way, a recount could not begin until after the State Board of Elections certifies the results November 27. The losing candidates got 10 days after that to request a recount. You following this?
No.
They can't begin the recount until after the State Board of Elections certifies the results, which is November 27th, which is about 3 weeks away.
Okay.
Then the losing candidates got 10 days after that to formally request a recount. So this thing could go, well, you know about those election counts that go on.
Sure.
Now,
do we know?
Both parties have teams that plan to monitor and intervene in the event of a recount, anticipating the process could stretch into next month. Before Webb claimed victory, Makakowicz urged his supporters to watch carefully as the remaining returns were counted. The counting will continue through the night, will continue tomorrow, and I know you'll all be like eagles and hawks, watching as every one of these votes are counted, Makakowicz said. A former governor once popular for abolishing parole, Allen had once been expected to cruise to a second term this year as a warm-up for his 2008 presidential run. I don't think he could count on too big of a Makaka vote. His solid conservative credentials and his sunny persona invited comparisons with the other goofball, Ronald Reagan. In late July, Allen led Webb by 16 points in the year's first independent statewide poll. Then came August 11th. Today, Allen pointed out S.R. Siddharth, the 20-year-old Virginia-born man of Indian descent working as a Webb campaign volunteer, and introduced him at an all-white rally as Makaka, an obscure racial slur that denotes a genus of monkeys. A genus. He's not a genius, he's a genus. Siddharth was tracking Allen across the state, videotaping his public appearances as his video of Allen's Makaka moment became a major national story and was grist for comedians and cable talk shows. And then, of course, once we found out that his mother was Jewish, that's when the Makakowicz thing came. I wonder who started that. Who started Makakowicz? Maybe it was Keith Olbermann.
Let's say it was you.
No.
I
think Keith Olbermann. Allen eventually apologized to Siddharth, but not until the comment already had provoked widespread scorn. By then, the political damage was done and more was to come. In mid-September, Allen bristled at a reporter for making aspersions about his religion when he asked at a debate whether his mother was Jewish. Your mama. The next day, Allen, 54, who was raised Christian, confirmed that his maternal grandparents were Jews, but said his mother revealed the secret to him only in August. Right. The secret. Then came allegations from some former football teammates from the University of Virginia that Allen had commonly used a 6-letter epithet against black people that begins with N. Allen did not ever using the word. Other teammates came forward to rebut the claims. Yeah, you say it all the time. You bigoted Yahoo.
Oh, yeah.
As Webb tied Allen to President Bush and the deadly U.S. occupation of Iraq, Allen battled back. He accused Webb of denigrating women in a 1979 magazine article decrying admission of women to the Naval Academy. Allen later tried to portray sexual depictions in Webb's 6 best-selling war novels as demeaning to women and pornographic, and all of these things. Webb, a Naval Academy graduate and decorated Vietnam veteran who served as a Navy secretary under Reagan, bitterly opposed the war in Iraq and switched to the Democratic Party. You go, Jim. We got it. Jebby says we got it. Jebby says we got it. Yeah. That story left me just wanting to barf all over my shoes. You'll be pleased to know I have a nicer, more comfortable, looser shirt on now.
That's good.
All the buttons are buttoned, but it's just...
Yeah, you don't want to strain those buttons.
Well, if you quit eating all that ice cream and food, don't forget Friday they got ice cream coming in, and the audience is invited to come in and share. Not. 1478. I bet you that was a really great year. 1478. I wonder back in the day, you think that they used to celebrate New Year's? We probably ought to Google that and find out about New Year's celebrations.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No.
In other words, if they made such a big deal, commercialized, and obviously not commercialized, but you know what I'm saying.
Everything's commercialized these days.
Right.
Yeah,
back in 1478, I wonder if they had the Dick Clark show was probably on New Year's Eve.
Any excuse to get drunk, even back in the olden days, I'm sure they
sitting around a
jumped
table,
on it.
sharing ways forward, that we will come up with commonality.
Common ground, baby, common ground. Here's the great uniter now. Right. Schmuck. 19 till 2, we got Mad Dog at 2. We got the Power Hour with Humper and the Mad Dog between 4 and 5. 5 o'clock, you got Humper from the Bank Atlantic Center. And then Panther People with 7. The Panthers host the Rangers 7:30, followed by the world-flaming Eddie K show.
Jason, you're on QAM.
We don't have any National Guardsmen because they're all fighting a war in Iraq right now.
Not the National Guard.
Pardon?
Not the National Guard.
No National Guard in Iraq?
There's no National Guard. No.
It's been brought to my attention that your ratings are dying now. Well, I don't want to show you what a big asset I was to you, and how. You thought you could find somebody good enough to fill my baggy pants? It ain't easy. There ain't no chance I'll ever be coming back. Outside of considering a lucrative contract. If you want to know what'll save you from shutting that transmitter down, why, that's easy. Sure.
All you need is more. All you need is more. All you need is a show to go blow.
Your old time slot only got you today. Despite that, my ratings have bottomed out in this tank. Which radio has a revolving door for the gayest of the whores and squeaky.
All you need is more.
Now see here.
All you need is more. All you need is a show to go blow.
Look here, you must-headed. You fight away something. Jack told me to give you this.
What?
You see? What are you going to do, fire me, huh?
Like old times.
Yeah, those were the days, baby. Those were really the days. Remember Mary Hopkins and those were the days? We've been through that before. 1490, man, on the dial. I think that was WBT in Batavia, 1490. I could be wrong. I bet you that's not on here anymore either. WBT. Mary. And then on Apple Records, I believe, speaking of the Beatles.
I don't have a label here.
Well, why the hell not?
It's on the
WBTA Radio, 1490, located in Batavia, New York, invites you to peruse their programming schedule, upcoming special broadcasts. How do you like that? That was my first job in radio, WBTA in Batavia, New York. Is that exciting or what? Not really.
What?
No?
No.
Listen live. Click here to listen to WBTA live sports broadcast. All right, your hometown station in beautiful Batavia, New York, home of Batavia Downs Racetrack. You've been there, I'm sure, many times.
Just this morning.
Wow. Anyway, we got 1492. Look at that. That Jewish sailor, Christopher Columbus, he liked Queen Isabella. 1492, we're going to make that 50 number. We got 11 minutes to go for 8 votes. Even Josh thinks we can do that. Even George, who couldn't give a crap less, thinks we can do that. The new chief of the FBI's criminal division, which is swamped with public corruption cases, says the Bureau is ramping up its ability. By the way, if you tuned in late, Rumsfeld's out. Bob Gates is going to be his replacement. He's been chosen by the Dumbo Meister. Bob Gates and his brother V. Gates. The new chief of the FBI criminal division, which is swamped with public corruption cases, says the Bureau is ramping up its ability to catch crooked politicians and might run an undercover sting on Congress.
Oh!
Long overdue. Sting this. Assistant FBI Director James Burris called the Bureau's public corruption program a sleeping giant that we've awoken, and predicted the nation will see continued emphasis in that area for many, many, many years to come. 3 manys. See, when they say 3 manys, I know that at my age I'm not going to be around for the third part.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And probably you won't either. So much evidence of wrongdoing. Now, maybe Josh, you think Josh will remember us when he's old and gray?
I know he will.
When we're like deep in the ground, you know, when the worms have eaten up our carcasses.
When he's an old man, he'll be telling the kids stories about us.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, my ears are burning already, and so is my...
All right. It burns.
Yeah.
Rectum.
Ass. So much evidence of wrongdoing is surfacing in the nation's capital that Burris recently committed to adding a fourth 15 to 20 member public corruption squad to the FBI's Washington field office. In the past year, former Republican Representatives Duke Cunningham and Bob Ney have pleaded guilty to corruption charges. FBI agents are investigating about a dozen other members of Congress, including as many as 3 senators. The Justice Department is also expected to begin seeking indictment soon after a massive FBI investigation of the Alaska legislature. Let's all go with Johnny Horton, north to Alaska. Boy, he's been dead a long time. He was good, Johnny Horton. What else did he do beside north to Alaska? Battle of New Orleans.
No.
What's that?
This is the only thing I've got by him in my computer here.
I'll be damned. Down.
In May of 1941, the war had just begun. The Germans had the biggest ship that had the biggest guns. The Bismarck was the fastest ship that ever sailed.
Oh, sink the Bismarck.
On her decks were guns as
Isn't that what
big
this
as
is?
stairs and sails as big as trees.
That's all you got by Johnny Horton. You don't have north to Alaska.
Nah.
Well, I love north to Alaska.
Gonna have to work on that.
I'll be damned. Anyway, if conditions warrant, Burris said he wouldn't balk at urging an undercover sting like the famed Abscam operation in the late 70s, in which a U.S. Senator and 6 House members agreed on camera to take bribes from FBI agents posing as Arab sheiks, like the Sheik of Araby. Arab sheiks. Them schmata heads, man. The Bushes and the Bin Ladens, just keep that in mind. Just keep saying it over and over. I wonder what Charlie Rangel is saying.
Put troops in harm's way. I think more than anything else, it's the vote that took place yesterday that should send a message to the president. No president can possibly succeed.
No president can possibly. I love Charlie Rangel, but boy, he's a little on the incoherent side at times. 1495. We got 8 minutes, and we need 5 votes for 1,500. This will be a day that will live in infamy, even more so than yesterday's election day, more so than December 7th, 1941 and the bombing of Pearl Harbor, more so than December 17th, 1976, when I came out on the air on WKAT. I bet you remember that, not?
No.
And was Josh even born then? No. Now, that's bad. See, now, does that tell you how old I am? I'm talking about crap that I was doing on the air before this punk was even born, dumbass over there. Like I said, many minutes. That's when you count. When you get to this age, not many years like the FBI guy was saying, but like many seconds maybe.
The biggest names,
Not
the
too many.
best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
It's Steve in Miami town.
1,512 votes on a poll.
At 560.
We done it.
WQAM.
Straight Mark Foley's a hobo.
Yes.
Another fine Republican, more or less queer.
All right.
Raymond Neocon had to resign, yeah. Was it worth the career of the Christian blood? Did it feel that bad? God says, yeah, yeah. Having too much fun with smooth controlling. Jesus, Charlie Christ can't be far behind now. He's just a rounder, pounder, back. He's just a push. unfairly.
Bye, bye, bye.